Whoa. So what's up?
When it comes to rap, no other woman has done it like Nicki Minaj. She not only broke down barriers by dominating an industry that is widely overtaken by men, she also put female rap into the forefront of popular music, proving its commercial viability and capacity to dictate the global markets. She's made a name for herself with her razor-sharp bars, witty punchlines, and recognizable brand that is distinctly Nicki. Her work ethic and determination to become the best of the best proved successful for her as she became the most successful female rapper of all time. Starships were meant to fly, and boy oh boy did Nicki fly. A rapper, a pop star, an actress, a global icon, and undeniably the queen of rap. In this video, we're gonna be talking about why Nicki Minaj is the queen of rap and the best female rapper of all time. But before we even start, let's first talk about the concept of the queen of rap. Hip-hop in its very core is a very braggadocious genre. You can see it in most of the topics discussed in raps. Even from the start, hip-hop is about being the best and proving you are the best. Whether it was proving you are the best MC, you having the best clothes, the best cars, the best drip, the best body, the best kitty. So it's no surprise that a hierarchy in rap is created, whereas in other genres, it really doesn't exist because the context behind those genres really doesn't necessitate a hierarchy. We can imagine hip-hop as Game of Thrones, and rappers compete to be at the Iron Throne. The king of rap debate is something that has a lot of heavy discourse in it, as there have been so many male rappers who are worthy of the title, so the list for that is heavy long. However, in female rap, there really are only a few female rappers who have that undeniable it factor to even make them qualify for the throne. And because of this scarcity, alongside other factors such as misogyny and the idea that women who are in the same fields don't get along, a narrative was created that there can only be one female rapper at the top of the rap game. Though some might argue that this should be abolished and that everyone is a queen, I think it kind of defeats the point of hip-hop. Because most of these female rappers still rap about being the best of the best, and they still diss people on their songs. But when it comes to crowning who is the best, now it's supposed to be a you're all queens narrative, when you can still have that same sentiment without discrediting the GOAT of female rap, and that's Nicki. I think the real problem people have with the title isn't the title itself, it's who owns the title. Because Nicki is one of the few people who have claimed the title for themselves publicly, calling herself the queen of rap in multiple occasions. The difference though is that whereas other female rappers have claimed the spot, Nicki really is the only one who has the cards to back it up, and the title stuck to her, not to other female rappers. And what I've noticed is that there seems to be a harsher tone from people when having the conversation of Nicki and the queen of rap title, as opposed to men who have said almost the same thing. Nicki is the one who gets backlash the most for the silly little title of the queen of rap. But I think it's more than that. It's an assertion of Nicki after years of being denied her talent, her achievements, her impact. That title is proof that she's more than a rapper with a pretty face or a big butt or a rapper who just raps about her pussy or any other thing that people have diminished her as. Women have to work twice as hard as men to even get half of what the men would get. And as an immigrant black woman who came from nothing and rose to the top despite the challenges and tribulations in an industry dominated by men, that title to her is sacred. And it's something that's worth fighting for. To prove that Nicki Minaj is the queen of rap and the best female rapper of all time, we're going to be delving into three main categories: sales, talent, and impact. Then at the end, we're going to be talking about some of the challenges that Nicki faces in owning the throne for the queen of rap and compare her to some of her peers to really see who is the best of the best.
What's up, y'all? It's Nicki Minaj.
I feel like as an artist, one of the best ways to start improving your legitimacy is your sales and how many records you have sold. And Nicki Minaj has sold a lot. She's not only one of the best-selling female rappers of all time, she's up there as one of the highest-selling artists of the 2010s decade. And she's still dominating this decade. In the US alone, Nicki Minaj has over 261.1 million records in RIAA-eligible certifications. Her song Super Bass was certified diamond by the RIAA for selling over 10 million copies in the US. To put this into perspective, there are only over 110 songs to have this same achievement. And her other huge hit, Starships, is on its way to reaching diamond status. She has also sold a reportedly 15 million album records in the world as of 2019, and that number has certainly grown by then. She was the first woman to have 100 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 and is currently number 2 for the most entries by a woman in said chart, with over 129 total entries, 22 top 10 hits, and 3 number 1 singles. She's only beaten out by Taylor Swift in this regard. Her recent single, Super Freaky Girl, became her first number 1 hit as a solo artist and the first solo song by a female rapper to debut at number 1 on the Hot 100 this century. Insane for someone 13 years into their career. She's ranked as the best female rapper of the 2010s decade in terms of chart success by Billboard, number 2 rapper overall behind Drake, and number 15 on overall artist in the 2010s. There's also this proven effect that a Nicki feature brings to every record. In an article by McCann back in 2015 using Spotify data, they conclude that a Nicki feature surpasses Drake's effects on features, with a 172% boost in streams for Nicki. And that was in 2015. With new features like Princess Diana, which recently debuted at number 4 on the Hot 100 after the Nicki remix, pushing the song to new heights, and songs like Bang Bang, Side to Side, Swallow, Fifi, and more proving her power after 2015, that effect is still in full effect. We can go on and on about Nicki's success, but fact of the matter is, Nicki Minaj has sold a lot. But chart success and sales is not the pillar in determining whether an artist is good or not, especially when it comes to the question of who is the queen of rap. At the end of the day, talent precedes sales and the conversation of who is the better artist. And Nicki Minaj definitely has that.
Big boobs? What?
Though often dismissed as a female rapper who's only concerned about superficial stuff, Nicki Minaj is a multifaceted beast. She's an artist who is able to adapt to the current landscape of music without coming off as riding the trend. She doesn't lose herself in anything she does, and you can still see Nicki in anything she puts out. As a rapper, your most important skill is your ability to write raps, because in theory, anyone can really be a rapper. Though there are certain factors and skill sets in distinguishing yourself from the novice and the experts and rapping as a skill, songwriting excluded, such as breath control, the ability to catch up to the beat and add certain tones and flows, which help better translate your lyrics. If you're decent at most of these, you can theoretically be a rapper. Unlike in singing, wherein singing is a much more robust and hard skill to master. But rapping is more than just saying words fast. It encompasses both rapping the words and writing the words. Because if you don't write your raps, you're basically a karaoke singer, a performer. Nicki prides herself in her ability to write raps, and write raps well. She has made it a point of contention ever since she started rapping back in the early 2000s, and it is still something that she talks about constantly till this day. Her ability to write raps in such a referential way that will leave you thinking for a minute about the entendres incorporated in her lyrics is a talent of its own. I don't work in no office, but they copying, and that's facts though. She doesn't work in the office, but they still copying, and that's facts. But she's also talking about the fax machine, and they're copying, but she doesn't work in the office. Now every club promoter win a bid like auctions, cause we pack shows, sell ticks like Boston. No, you know she's talking about Boston Celtics, but she's also packing shows, and she's selling ticks, sell ticks like Boston. New slaves, but I'm still the master. I'm whipping foreigns to make him go faster. You know, she's saying that there might be new people in the game, but she's still the master. And she's whipping foreigns like foreign cars. She's driving them, but she's also whipping foreigns to make them go faster, which goes back to the other line, new slaves, but I'm still the master. The bars. And that's just literally a sliver of Nicki's lyrical prowess. When it comes to writing bars, Nicki is A1 to that. I didn't even go through her most lyrical bars because it would take up a lot of time just to explain the bar, because Nicki packs so much reference and mind-boggling connections in her bars. She's been the source of every bad bitch's IG caption, myself included, since the day she stepped into the steam. And it's not just the bars. When we talk about Nicki's writing, we also talk about her songwriting ability. Not only is she able to write raps with razor-sharp bars that hits hard, she's also able to write just catchy songs in general. From the poppiest of pop songs like Super Bass and Starships, to hard-hitting lyrical rap songs like the aforementioned Motorsport, Romance Revenge, and LLC, to silly songs wherein she showcases her theater background like Romance Holiday and Where Them Girls At, and even more contemplative soft ballads and pop songs like Grand Piano and Pills and Potions. Nicki Minaj is not just a rapper who writes her music, she is the definition of a songwriter and the hitmaker. The only reason she is not included in the conversations of best songwriters is because rap is still a genre that not a lot of people take seriously. They ostracize the genre, Nicki included, because they don't understand it and they don't see it as anything more than superficial. But it takes a lot of talent and skill to be a good rapper and extreme determination to be a great one, and Nicki has all of that. Nicki Minaj is also just great at rapping as a skill. You can clearly hear her raps, and every word she says, her enunciation is impeccable. You can hear what she's saying clearly without mumbling, without struggle. Her breath control is also insane.
Cause we A-listers, we pay sisters, this watch right here, them face blizzards. I confess I woke up like this, I was drinking my cup like this, all this ass on that flawless dick, Instagram another flawless pic, flawless city with these flawless titties, I got all these hundreds, you got all the bitties, I'm with some flawless bitches cause they more than pretty, cause niggas love bad bitches, I be on they crispy, throw the ass back, I be on my frisbee, princess cut diamonds on my Disney.
Her musicality and ear for hearing hit songs is also something we should applaud her for. That's why her feature is such a coveted thing to acquire as an artist. Once Nicki Minaj hops on a song, you have her seal of approval, as she, specifically now, have become very picky in the song she approves. And I think the biggest thing that has kept her so relevant over the years is her ability to blend and modify her rapping style to fit any genre. Her versatility and range is what has set her apart from most rappers out right now. Nicki can go do a Latin trap song, a K-pop song, a reggae song, R&B, pop, gospel, rock, dance hall, and hip-hop back-to-back and still have a consistent style while still being able to flourish in said genres. I'd go as far to say that Nicki is one of the most versatile artists to ever live. Her versatility as an artist has expanded the boundaries of female rap. She effortlessly transitions between rap, singing, and different styles, showcasing the breadth of talent and creativity that can exist within the genre. This is why features have worked so well for Nicki. It allows her to explore genres and new sounds while still keeping her own sound for her. Her ability to do voices and embody her own created alter egos, which stems from her theater background, as Nicki did a couple of off-Broadway shows. She fills her alter egos with such rich backstory and meaning behind it that they become their own characters, which Nicki utilizes when the time is right.
Roman is a crazy boy who lives in me, and he says the things that I don't want to say. He was born, just a few months ago. I think he was born out of rage. He was conceived in rage. So he bashes everyone. He threatens to beat people, and he's violent.
It must be nice to have like an ignorant loudmouth who you can just sort of blame every
He wants to be blamed. I don't want to blame him. I ask him to leave, but he can't. He's here for a reason. People have brought him out. People conjured him up. Now he won't leave.
But her talent and sales aren't the only thing that has solidified her spot to the top. The thing that really makes Nicki Minaj a star in any room that she stands in, she's a standout, you just her stand-in, is the sheer impact that she has had on not only the hip-hop landscape and the pop landscape and the music landscape in general, but also the world.
Haters, I'm not your enemy, I'm your hero. You know, cheer up. You should be happy I'm here. You know, I'm showing you bitches how to do it.
Nicki Minaj has left her pink print all over the music industry and the world. She has left such a huge impact that she is now embedded into pop culture in general. Firstly, she revived female rap from the dead because in the mid to late 2000s, female rap was extinct. No female rapper were doing anything significant in those times in terms of music. Nicki Minaj stepped into the scene as the 2010s decade came in and resurrected a part of hip-hop and ushered new female rappers to come into the scene. A lot of people have said that in female rap, we can categorize the timeline as before Nicki and after Nicki. You can see on the new female rappers the impact she has had on them. Nicki Minaj's unique style, fashion choices, and larger-than-life persona have made her a cultural icon. She has inspired countless fans and aspiring artists to embrace their individuality, creativity, and confidence. Artists like Doja Cat, Ice Spice, Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Lotto, City Girls, and so many other female rappers and even queer artists like Lil Nas X and Saucy Santana are so obviously inspired by Nicki, or they themselves have said that Nicki is their inspiration. Some might credit others for them getting into the game, but look at their age. Who were they listening when they were growing up? It was Nicki. She has also been endorsed by the greatest of the greats and legends shortly after her debut. She has worked with Kanye West and Jay-Z on Monster, Lil Wayne and Drake since she joined Young Money, Mariah Carey, Rihanna, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Katy Perry, and so many more. Nicki was one of the few pioneers in the 2010s to popularize pop rap, something that is now utilized by a lot of rappers as hip-hop is now being taken down after years of being the top genre. You can also see this in artists such as Doja and Lotto, in which most of their biggest songs are pop/rap crossovers. Nicki is someone who isn't afraid to speak her mind, even if it backfires on her. She spoke out against Grammys after them not giving her the well-deserved Best New Artist because she didn't follow the Grammys committee in cutting her performance out of the show minutes before she was about to go on stage. She spoke out against the power that DJs have on radio, and she was blackballed from it, making her singles look like they were underperforming. She's also one of the few people who have fought back against Billboard's rules of not counting streams in the sales figures of their charts on albums, which is now the dominating figure that keeps a lot of albums charting. And Nicki actually won in her fight. Nicki Minaj is someone who isn't afraid to speak her mind, and though this has put some people off from her, you still have to admire her unafraidness of being cancelled and just speaking her mind. Not all of what she says might go well with the general public, but she bears it all out. It's really her, and that's impressive in a time where almost all A-listers filter their voice out so much that they feel manufactured. Nicki was really the first female rapper to be successful in the age of social media. Even though she's been hot since flip phones, she really flourished in the social media era. Scroll through TikTok and you will probably hear a Nicki Minaj soundbite or one of her songs. Memes and funny videos of Nicki are now scattered throughout the internet and pop culture. Not a lot of 2010 popstars have kept the same relevancy that Nicki has. Someone who is still in the public consciousness while still being able to compete in the charts. Nicki really is the first global female rap superstar icon. Simple things like the way she dresses, the way she acts, the way she conducts businesses, and her mannerisms are now being adopted by other female rappers and artists in general. And we haven't even talked about the Barbs, Nicki's fans. The Barbs are an extremely powerful force that has been able to achieve the same notoriety and fame that Nicki has. Just look at the hashtag Barbs on TikTok and compare it to other fan bases. They win out. They've become sort of like an independent force from Nicki, being able to support her music and keep her charting despite numerous attempts to blackball Nicki from everything. If we really look at it, Nicki Minaj is the complete package. She is everything that one would need to be a rap superstar, and we can completely see this when comparing her to other female rappers out right now. There really are only 3 female rappers who have even come close to touching Nicki's spot. That's mainly Doja, Megan, and Cardi. We can also consider Ice Spice as she is having a huge debut and moment right now. If you look at all 4 of those female rappers, you can see that they all have a part of what makes Nicki the queen, but it's never complete. Megan, for example, may have the rap skills and writing ability that Nicki possesses, but she doesn't have the versatility, range, and pop sensibility that Nicki has. Doja may have the versatility and creativity that Nicki possesses, especially in her earlier years, but she doesn't have the street edge and rap core that Nicki has. Cardi may have the sales to back her up, but she objectively doesn't have a tenth of the talent that Nicki has. Ice Spice may have the hype that Nicki had during her debut, maybe even more so, but she has so much more to show to even come close to Nicki's level. All of these women are amazing in their own right, and I think the biggest thing that they lack is the want to be the queen of rap. To be the queen of rap, you have to not only be the best, you have to want it. Nicki proclaimed herself as the queen of rap on her second album. The starting track of her debut album is literally titled I'm the Best. Nicki has the talents, the sales, the impact, and the insatiable hunger to be the best. And she has been the best for a whole decade. And with recent releases still showing that she has commercial viability and she can still produce quality works, there is no stopping her anytime soon. And I didn't include other criteria such as performances, because we're talking about the queen of rap and the best female rapper of all time. These types of criteria aren't given to male rappers to prove that they are great rappers, because their rapping ability is the one that speaks for itself. They don't need other other extra stuff to prove that they are a great rapper. So I think it's kind of weird and misogynistic to ask Nicki of this, especially when no one will say that Cardi is the better rapper to Tupac or Biggie because she can perform better or has more endorsements. An argument against Nicki when it comes to her being the queen of rap was that she didn't have competition during her earlier years, that's why she dominated for so long. But she did have competition. It's just that her competition was male rappers at the time and female pop stars such as Rihanna, Katy Perry, Beyonce, and Taylor Swift. She was alongside all of them in the charts at the time of their peaks. And even then, Nicki still had competition in the female rap market. Iggy Azalea exploded around 2014 and was even more successful than Nicki in the charts. Same goes for Cardi B in 2017 to 2018. But rather than having high debuts and quickly low dips, Nicki was able to remain consistent for a whole decade. Nicki was so successful in her reign that newer female rappers now have a hard time easily being able to break into the mainstream because of how high Nicki set the standard. Billboard named Nicki the 10th best rapper of all time, the only female rapper in the top 10. This shows that Nicki is not only the queen of rap and the best female rapper of all time, she's one of the best rappers of all time, period.
You have to be like a beast. You have to be a beast. That's the only way they respect you. When Wayne walks on a set and say, don't talk to me, have my music ready, get the up out of my face and I'm gonna blow this to your face all day, it's cool. But every time I put my foot down and stand up for myself, it's like, we've heard about Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj shut down a photo shoot. Oh my God, no one wants to work with Nicki Minaj. I'm glad you heard. Now, when I come to a photo shoot, let it be of quality. You know why? Because I put quality in what I do. I spend time and I spend energy and I spend effort and I spend everything I have, every fiber of my being to give people quality. So if I turn up to a photo shoot and you got a $50 clothes budget and some sliced pickles on board, you wanna know what? No, I am gonna leave. Is that wrong for wanting more for myself, wanting people to treat me with respect? But you know what? Next time they know better. But had I accepted the pickle juice, I would be drinking pickle juice right now. When I am assertive, I'm a bitch. When a man is assertive, he's a boss.
Bossed up.
He bossed up.
Yeah, he bossed up.
No negative connotation behind bossed up, but lots of negative connotation behind being a bitch.
So, okay, you're probably going, is this like an Oxema commercial or what? But seriously, I actually have a way normal life for a teenage girl. I mean, I get up, I brush my teeth, and I pick out my school clothes.
What are you doing? Keep quiet, okay? In case you forget, we just went inside Nicki's house and we're currently in her closet and we're doing a robbery. But looking at all these fabulous outfits, it just makes me remember that Nicki Minaj is a fashion icon. You know what? Fuck it. Just sit down. We're gonna talk about Nicki Minaj's fashion evolution, okay? Sit down. As I said, Nicki Minaj is a fashion icon. That much we know. Her style has defined the past decade the same way her music has. Just like her raps, she isn't afraid to go there in terms of fashion as well. Whether she's sporting the most campiest look you can ever imagine, or a seductress type of look, you know she's gonna rock the hell out of that outfit. In many ways, her style evolution represents the cultural evolution of fashion since 2010 side to side with her career. Nicki's style has been reinvented throughout the years, being meticulously curated to evoke the theme and the motif of the current album or project Nicki is promoting. And we will get into it all in today's video. And the fact that we're actually inside Nicki Minaj's closet, we're gonna get really gritty here, like stupid ho gritty. Well, before we rob this closet, let's go ahead and talk about the evolution of Nicki Minaj's fashion. Warning, I am in no means a fashion expert, I am a fashion noob, so if I miss something or get something wrong, please be nice to me. I don't respond well to bullies. It's me again, and before I start the video, I just want to say to everyone that I now have a Patreon page. So if you guys want to support my shenanigans and all of that stuff, just go to my Patreon page and please support me. Thank you guys.
Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj was born in Trinidad and Tobago and later moved to Southside Jamaica, Queens, New York to live with her parents. From a young age, Nicki Minaj has always been very creative and a performative kid, and this performative spirit has stuck with her throughout her teen years, leading up to her successfully auditioning and being admitted to the LaGuardia High School, which focuses on the visual and performing arts. Originally wanting to be an actress, she was cast in the off-Broadway play of In Case You Forget in 2001, after which she shifted her dreams from actress to singer, appearing in some background vocals for local rappers in her area. Nicki then finally settled on a new dream career, being a rapper, as rapping is is a skill that she has been cultivating for years since she was 11 as her hobby. This was when she signed up to the rap group Full Force around 2003 to 2004 and recorded some songs with them until she quit the group to pursue music independently, wherein she released 3 mixtapes and was eventually signed by Lil Wayne to Young Money. And the rest was history. Nicki Minaj's style back in these days was very much influenced by the trends of the time. Her style can be categorized as part of the McBling style as she sported a lot of the trends associated with aesthetic. But she had a bit more edge and a quote-unquote more hood take on the style compared to the prominent McBling style icons, which is in part affected by her upbringing in Southside Jamaica, Queens, and thus being more influenced by black streetwear culture. Nicki can be seen wearing tank tops, graphic tees, trucker hats, and statement belts, which are a huge part of the McBling style. But she puts her own spin on this aesthetic, wearing more skinny or capri jeans instead of the more popular bootcut jeans, the famous colorful push-up bras that would show behind her tank tops, and eccentric accessories such as lots of bangles, sunglasses, and her iconic bamboo earrings, which she later on references in her future work like Dear Old Nicki and Chun-Li. Side note, this skull belt that she wore for a music video in the Come Up DVD, to die for. She also regularly wore a fitted jacket, whether leather or denim. Her style during her mixtape days really was a contrast to the more glamorous and over-the-top Nicki that we are familiar with. Nicki during these times wore very casual outfits. Even when she's performing, she looked like she was about to go out for a party, opting for jeans, a revealing top, and sometimes a jacket. Unlike the more colorful, bedazzled bodysuits and two-piece suits that she usually wears to a performance nowadays, she dressed like exactly her part, an underground rapper. You can see her in her music videos usually dressed down, but still stylish. Her music videos back then were your typical low-budget rap music video, Nicki walking in the street with her crew. She often embodied her alter ego, Nicki Lewinsky, during these times. We barely see her in a dress or gowns around these times, as she didn't really have any red carpets to attend to. It is important to note that while Nicki was relatively thin back then, she was still curvy and she had more of an hourglass figure, and that wasn't really the body standard back then, as extremely thin women were the standard, i.e. Paris Hilton. Nicki's aesthetic in these times perfectly complemented her figure, which shows that Nicki knew what worked best for her body and she had an eye for fashion. She knew what looked good on her, and this was especially prevalent as Nicki really didn't have a stylist for most of her looks. She was the one curating what she wore and the image she projected. And I think we have to take note of the situation of rap, specifically female rap around this time. Female rap was basically non-existent, dead during the mid to late 2000s. Nicki was walking into what is essentially a men's club, and she asserted her way into the top. And you can kinda see that in her wardrobe. I've always noted about Nicki's style in her mixtape days that she was wearing the feminized version of what a lot of male rappers wore. She played around with the silhouette of the male rappers' wardrobes and made it so that it would fit her body and accentuate her features. This was sort of her way of telling the male rappers that she can do what they do, but still put her own spin on things. Nicki Minaj's wardrobe around these times also resembled that of the video vixens of the 2000s, as Nicki Minaj was also a fellow video vixen around these times. She took a lot of elements from the video vixens of her time and she made it work into her aesthetic. And this can be most seen at her pictorials, wherein you could mistake her as a video vixen coming from a music video shooting. Her hair is usually either crimped, and she added those little bangs for a little razzle dazzle, or it's styled in the iconic Nicki Minaj Chinese bangs and pink undertones. Though she often dressed as Nicki Lewinsky, either casual or sexed up, she did also start experimenting embodying other alter egos, such as Nicki the Ninja in Higher Than a Kite, wherein she wore a kimono and her hair is done up in a Japanese updo, or Harajuku Barbie, which we will get to in a bit. Nicki Minaj dressing for her alter egos will become a mainstay in her career. As 2009 rolled in, she started wearing more eccentric outfits, for example dressing up as Super Snatch for the Beam Me Up Scotty cover, or wearing this lingerie piece in the Bedrock music video. She started cultivating one of her most well-known alter egos, the Harajuku Barbie, which if you haven't watched my video on alter egos, watch it here after this video. And she just started wearing more colorful wigs and outfits. And this really is a precursor and sort of a bleed through from her upcoming 2010 style, which I think everyone is very familiar with.
Do you ever look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head?
After becoming the first artist to have 7 songs simultaneously on the Hot 100, Nicki Minaj released her debut album, Pink Friday. The album is a departure from her previous mixtapes, as it is infused with a lot of pop elements. And it is one of those albums that pioneered and popularized pop rap into the charts and the general public. As Pink Friday had a lot of pop sensibilities in it, and Nicki was starting to become more famous by the day, she abandoned her persona as Nicki Lewinsky from her mixtapes, and she started adopting more crazy and eccentric alter egos, and this can be seen through her fashion. Her debut single, Massive Attack, gave us a more familiar Nicki, kooky, crazy, and colorful. Her outfits were indicative of the energy of the song and her future songs to come. Nicki can be seen sporting a campy, somewhat futuristic look for the most part in the Pink Friday era, reminiscent of what you would see in The Fifth Element. Nicki Minaj was the definition of camp and experimental. A great example of this is her look for the 2010 AMAs, wherein she wore a Spring Collection 2011 Manish Aurora dress with an embellished, brightly colored skeletal ensemble. It was eye-catching and bold, and it had people talking. Nicki in 2012 recalls it back at the start of her career, it had gotten to the point where I never won anything, so I would just go to award shows just to wear a cute outfit. And her wearing these crazy outfits was a great marketing tool for her, so that she will grab people's attention and hopefully have that attention be diverted to her music. This type of marketing yourself through red carpet appearances was also utilized by Zendaya, and it worked for both her and Nicki, as they got a lot of buzz around their outfits. And I don't think y'all understand, Nicki marketed the hell out of her music in red carpet events and award shows.
The American Music Award goes to...
Pink Friday is in stores tomorrow. Give it up for Pink Friday, you guys!
Go on.
Inciting the Harajuku style as her inspiration for this era, and even naming one of her alter egos after the famous aesthetic in Japan, you can see a lot of its elements infused in Nicki's style in this era. Harajuku fashion styles boomed in the 1980s to early 2000s in particular. Subcultures were everywhere at the time, and there were innumerable different styles and looks to choose from. Nicki in particular takes cues from the decor subculture of Harajuku, which is defined as a style that is very vibrant and cutesy, and it is often linked with Japanese kawaii culture. Nicki took elements from the decor of fashion style and made it her own, westernizing a lot of aspects and making the silhouette of the clothes more figure-hugging, whilst keeping the quirky and eccentric spirit intact. For her Pink Friday photo shoot, she utilized a much more subdued Lolita style, keeping in line with her Harajuku Barbie theme. Nicki also dressed in this black piece number, which has a lot of goth and punk references, i.e. the spikes and the print. The more rough and edgy look can be interpreted as her cosplaying as Roman, one of her alter egos, whilst the more Lolita and romantic looks can be seen as her embodying the Harajuku Barbie. Her legs in most of the pictures were elongated, which is done to mimic the Barbies with long-ass legs, and to show how doll-like she is. Nicki also has taken cues from the more traditional Japanese style of clothing and westernized it, as seen in her music video for Your Love, which, fun fact, was her first solo song to enter the Hot 100. This calls back to her Higher Than a Kite days. Going away from her more natural hairstyle during the mixtape days, if you saw Nicki Minaj back in this era, you would probably see her sporting a colorful wig, usually blonde with tips at the end, or straight up vibrant color. Her favorite styles of hair to wear are straight or layered hair with blunt tousled bangs, curly hair, or in some cases, like her first Grammy appearance or some of her performance looks, a beehive hairstyle. Her makeup was also equally crazy, with neon eyeliners and a pink lip being her signature look back then. But Nicki Minaj wasn't all crazy back in the Pink Friday era. In songs like Your Love and Right Through Me, we get to see a more natural Nicki be in her element. The makeup and hair is toned down in these music videos, especially in Right Through Me, as the song is more based on reality and it talks about love and relationships. Nicki Minaj is visibly more stripped down than her usual looks around this era. Her street style didn't really change that much from her mixtape days, aside from it being updated for a more 2010 era appropriate styling. Fun fact, Nicki Minaj actually did not have a song about the kitty cat or sex in Pink Friday. As Nicki Minaj aimed to go away from the preconceived notion that she only talks about sex in her music videos, she made a conscious decision to stay away from the topic, and this can be kinda seen in her outfits. Even though Nicki Minaj has always embraced her sexuality and being sexy, in the Pink Friday era, the priority of her looks aren't really about being provocative and racy. It's more about being colorful and out of this world, just like Nicki's personality amplified by her alter egos. Not saying that Nicki Minaj didn't have sexy look at this time, it's just that she really focused on being more of an eccentric character, more than a racy one. In 2011, we see a continuation of her previous stylings, as seen in her 2011 VMAs look, which has futuristic elements with the silhouette of the dress and the metal-like fabric, mixed with the Harajuku stylings from her leggings and accessories.
Play one song for you right now on 107.5 The Taylor. What would it be?
Can I play album cuts?
Anything you want to hear.
Okay, I want to hear Nicki Minaj Super Bass.
Super Bass sees her in probably one of her signature looks of all time. The leopard print bodysuit is iconic to say the least. It's still the crazy, campy Nicki that we know, but still with a hint of sex appeal. A lot of hints. She started sporting a lot of animal prints at this era as well, which is prevalent in her 2011 Grammy red carpet look, wherein she wore a Givenchy 2007 fall collection piece. The push-up bra showing behind the tank top also came back from Nicki's mixtape days. If someone thinks of the 2010s over-the-top fashion, Nicki Minaj would come to mind. I think her way of dressing during the Pink Friday era was very consistent and on theme for not only the state of Nicki's career, but also Pink Friday as an album. It was loud in your face and it definitely got people talking about Nicki Minaj, and you just wanted more of her.
Lord, I'm having a heart attack. Damn, this is some scary shit.
Pink Friday Roman Reloaded is Nicki Minaj's second studio album, and it was released on April 2, 2012. When asked on Twitter to describe the album in one word, she tweeted, "Freedom." In an interview following the premiere of the album's lead single, Starship, Nicki told Ryan Seacrest, "I've never had this much fun recording music in my life. My first album, I was very guarded. I felt like I was making music to please everyone else. I had to be politically correct, but this album, I'm just creating music, and there's such a big difference. Literally in the studio, we were cracking up, laughing, having fun, and enjoying ourselves. The music itself, you're going to get every side that I've ever shown and then a little bit extra. I've tried to make it very, very balanced because I don't ever want to be boxed in, and that's always what drives me crazy. So I made a very diverse album." She added that with her first album, I was a too open Nicki Minaj. It felt more to me like a diary. The songs were more introspective and stuff like that. With this particular album, I felt that it was time to give people a moment to enjoy the lyrics and enjoy the beats and enjoy the voices. And this newfound freedom and fun Nicki that we see in Roman Reloaded can be seen in her wardrobe as well. Visually, it takes a lot of cues from her previous era, but now it is more refined and more provocative. As Nicki Minaj no longer restricts herself from talking about sex, she matches that ideal with the more risque look, making more of her outfits sexier instead of absolutely crazy. This can be seen in the music video for the lead single of this album, Starship. Though still contains a lot of the Harajuku and futuristic motifs, as Nicki literally plays an alien here, now, she mostly wears bathing suits and bikinis. If Super Bass hints at Nicki's sexiness, Starship shouts it at you. The same story can be seen in music videos such as Stupid Ho, Pound the Alarm, Vava Voom, and I'm Your Leader. You can see her pair her clothes most of the time with the long, straight, swept hairstyle, with the color most commonly being blonde. Her wearing a blonde hairstyle can be seen seen as Nicki making herself a bigger idea than Onika Tanya Mirage, as this was the era she really embraced being a pop star. Her makeup is also more refined than her 2010 to 2011 looks. Her makeup now actually accentuates and complements her features and face. Nicki continues her Harajuku style inspiration with this outfit for her Roman Reloaded CD signing in London leading the pack. This outfit I just personally love, and it really is a prime example of her aesthetic in Roman Reloaded. This look still embodies Harajuku and all its craziness, but now in a more refined version that actually fits Nicki like a glove. The boots are incredible, and the printed leggings under the tutu skirt with a corset and the beret on top. Chef's kiss. Perfection. This look from the 2012 BET Awards also epitomizes the era. It's racy, but it still has some camp within it. Nicki Minaj loved her leggings, either underneath a skirt or just as her bottom as a whole, which can be because Nicki wanted to show off her hourglass figure, which is now the body standard. In this era, she slowly steps away from the more futuristic stylings of Pink Friday, and she slowly incorporates more street style elements into her outfits. This album is basically split into two. The more pop side, like Starships and Pound the Alarm, and the hip-hop / R&B side of the album, like Bees in the Trap and Right by My Side. In the music videos for both aforementioned songs, you can see Nicki dive into full-on street style, but still with her Harajuku and Nicki flavor on each outfit, and it is undeniably provocative. This split in the album can also be seen in Nicki's wardrobe. It seems like Nicki Minaj loved to switch between a more streetwear-inspired look to the more Harajuku crazy Nicki Minaj style that she was known for. Aside from the leggings, Nicki Minaj loved her lace or fishnet moment, with her 2012 VMA look probably coming to mind, with its artistic red and black lace bodysuit. For the Grammy, she was seen wearing a custom-made red cape from Versace. She then changed into this brown dress look, wherein she performed Roman's Holiday and supposedly killed Roman. This can also symbolize the start of the death of the crazy Nicki Minaj fashion era, as later in the year, we would see Nicki Minaj in one of her most drastic transformations yet. On November 19, 2012, Nicki Minaj released a reissue of her second album, Pink Friday Roman Reloaded The Re-Up, as a way to increase sales for said album, and she mostly promoted the album and its singles in 2013. For this reissue, Nicki sported a new look. Her hair, rather than being fully blonde, now has dark roots, and it is often a signifier to distinguish Nicki from the Roman Reloaded era and the Re-Up era. Her dark roots can symbolize the re-emergence of the real Nicki, Onika Tanya Mirage, slowly but surely. The Re-Up's new songs are mostly rooted in hip-hop, and this can be reflected upon Nicki's wardrobe. Gone are the Harajuku stylings of Nicki past, and she now sported a more naturally street style and trendy look for 2013. Nicki takes cues from the swag girl aesthetic, which was becoming popular at the time, but she never fully dove into it. Nicki said in an interview, "Towards the end of last year, I just wanted to have a more natural look, and that's what I was explaining to my team. I knew that I was about to start doing covers of magazines, and they wanted a more relatable look. I knew that I was about to launch a clothing line, and I want women to know that I'm just a regular woman, and I'm not some weirded out character all the time. I made that conscious effort to tone it down and try new things. And when I started seeing what my hair looked like, I just fell in love. I was just like, oh my gosh, where has this been all my life?" Because even my fans went crazy. I feel like the whole world went crazy. It felt like it took off this mask. It didn't feel like that to me, but to the world it's almost like, oh, now we see the real her. It was weird. And we did see Nicki Minaj in a more natural light, and she seemed like she was getting back to her roots as a rapper. This era sort of symbolizes the abandonment of Nicki the pop star, and it became an introduction for Nicki the rapper to the general public. And though there was still a lot of whimsy and fun in Nicki's outfit, most of that fun and whimsy are now relegated to just the colors of her dress and outfit, and her shoes. She now sports more trendier pieces, like the bandage dress that was becoming popular in the 2000s, as well as tops that really showcased her boobs. It showcased her boobs. Nicki's music video for High School really showcases this style evolution. With this yellow Herve Ledger dress and her green backless bathing suit, it's both very modern and saucy, while still having some of that playfulness that Nicki Minaj is known for. The street style that she started to incorporate in 2012 is now burnished, and she started wearing more neutral and toned down pieces instead of the bright acid wash showcase that she had the year prior. Nicki Minaj's clothing line with Kmart also showcased Nicki's style around this time. Nicki Minaj also started taking on a more mature and more glamorous look for her red carpets and covers to keep in line with her new image. Her music video for Freedom showcases this. Whereas before, her dresses seemed sort of like a parody of itself, now Nicki starts wearing more elegant and sleek dresses. We can see this in her Mary Claire cover, wherein she starts taking a more editorial look. This was also around the time that Nicki really started molding the baddie aesthetic of Instagram, and she's one of the pioneers for the IG baddies. Give her tens, like come on. Anyways, as the year ended, Nicki started working on her third album, which we will see Nicki Minaj transform yet again.
Don't start.
What do you mean, don't start?
Don't start.
How can I not start on that?
The Pink Print is the third pseudo album by Nicki Minaj, and it was released on December 15, 2014. The album was a departure from Nicki's other work, as this album did not contain any alter egos other than Onika Tanya Mirage, which made this album extremely personal and stripped down. A contrast to the more experimental and pop sounds of Pink Friday and its sequel, Roman Reloaded, this album is heavily mostly hip-hop and R&B, with some more poppy songs sprinkled in, like Get On Your Knees and The Night Is Still Young. But it's not the bubblegum pop that we heard in Nicki's previous albums, like Starships or Super Bass. When asked about the Pink Print, Nicki stated that the album would focus on rap and feed the core rap fan. And in another interview, Nicki said that the album would be very personal and is an emotional roller coaster. With this in mind, Nicki revamped her look once again to make her wardrobe and style match the theme of the album, stripped back and denuded. Her makeup was one of those aspects that got revamped, and she's now often seen rocking a more natural look. She also started wearing her real hair, and she dialed down on the wigs. Her hair is either styled straight or with curls. These decisions played into the album as her more natural styling gave us a more raw and unfiltered look at Nicki, just like the album. Before the album was even released though, Nicki already started building up to her transformation. Around February 2014, she posted these pictures with the caption, "No perm, no extensions," and she debuts her new look and gives us our first look at the new pink print Nicki. And these pics were the behind the scenes for looking ass. This was followed up by Pills and Potions, which saw Nicki in a more bare look, wearing minimal to no makeup and simple outfits, to showcase more the emotion of the song rather than distract with the crazy Nicki Minaj look. Both are a massive departure from the previous Nicki Minaj music videos we have gotten, which are usually colorful and with a massive production design. And both music videos set the scene for Nicki's new style. Under the influence of her new stylist, Rushka Bergman, who was Michael Jackson's personal stylist and someone who had a more classic style and taste, Nicki Minaj started becoming more minimalistic, chic, and classic in her clothing, while still keeping a little bit of edge and street style influences. The minimalism aesthetic became popular around the late 2010s, and though Nicki didn't fully dive into minimalism, she still took notes and lessened the over-the-top Nicki stylings of her past. She started wearing a lot of black dresses to red carpets, as black dresses and clothing are often associated with rebirth, power, elegance, sophistication, and even intelligence. A prime example of this was her 2014 VMAs dress, which famously did not zip up when she performed Bang Bang with Jessie J and Ariana Grande. Her style took on a more high fashion approach and vibe behind it. Examples are her look for the premiere of The Other Woman, her black dress for the 2014 Billboard Music Awards, and her 2014 BET Awards look. Oftentimes we can see Nicki wearing a short dress instead of more longer ones. Even with her more experimental outfits or her casual looks around this time, she still managed to make it look chic, but still exuding lots of sex appeal that only Nicki Minaj can exude. Nicki's magazine covers and editorials at the time also embodied this fact. Her photo shoot for Days sees her as a reimagined housewife, which just goes with her more new chic style. Her complex editorial was more fashion forward, and her styling here was very elevated, while her fader cover sees the stripped down Nicki that we are familiar with in this era. I feel like even though Nicki Minaj has always been an ed girl since the start of her career, this era was the era where Nicki's fashion style was started being taken seriously. Later singles for the pink print like Anaconda, Only, Bang Bang, and Feeling Myself saw Nicki go back to old form with fun outfits, but still keeping in mind her current aesthetic. Unlike the old Nicki, which would have seen her style these outfits with crazy makeup, hair, and styling, her looks here still give off this more denuded look. This look on Bang Bang, for example, though the pieces in it of itself would seem crazy, on Nicki it doesn't seem that crazy. I don't know, that's just me. These music videos also showcase Nicki's more street style outfits, but with that Rushka touch. Okay, I'm gonna get back to putting these clothes in the bag. In the meantime, why don't you go and listen to another Head Barb and Bad Bitch. Woo.
Hi Nathy, it's Blessing. I am here in London in my wardrobe because we are talking about fashion, and I just had to slide in and talk about just how much Nicki's fashion era in 2014 all the way up to 2017 just meant so much to me as a young woman and allowed me this avenue that I was able to access like fashion and beauty for the first time, I feel like, as a proper young adult. So the story is that I grew up in hair salons, so I've always loved black beauty, hair and fashion. You know, my mom's really glam, and I discovered Nicki when I was quite young, so I was like 12, 13. So a lot of people, you know, may have been doing like the pink hair and stuff, but I was literally like in year 7. So there was no way I was going to be able to do all of that. But fast forward to university when I turned 18, that's about the time of the pink print. And when Nicki released the pink print and revamped her look and gave us stripped back Onika, it really spoke to me. And, you know, it really spoke to me on a level because I felt like this is what I want to channel. Like, this was giving all of those like black beauty magazines I used to look at, and Naomi Campbell, and like my mom as well. Like, it just was so quintessential black beauty. It was modern and classic, which is something I said to you in the tweet I sent you the other day when you were asking about Nicki's fashion era between 2014 and 17. So anyway, I just wanted to say that when I was at university, you know, Nicki really just gave me everything I was channeling. When I would go to the club, girl, I thought I was fine. I would do like my Nicki pony, and I'd have like 28, 30 inches of hair, and I would be swishing it around feeling like a black Barbie. And Black Barbies actually is still my favorite song to this day. So yeah, I want to talk more. I think that we should talk about Nicki's fashion eras, period. But I also wanted to just talk more about how she's influenced me and others. So if you are interested in hearing more, then do head over to my channel, Blessing Makosha. So I'm talking about how Nicki's pink print makeover and the era completely transformed and has continued to inspire Black femme fashion. So head over to my channel if you're interested in learning more. And thank you so much for having me on your space, Nathi. Can't wait to see you over on mine. Bye, guys.
In 2015, a lot of the same style cues from 2014 remained, but with a more grander, avant-garde feel to it. Her makeup, I would say, improved as well, with this makeup style of hers being one of my favorites of all Nicki time. I don't know what it is about 2015 Nicki, but there was just a certain spark that Nicki lit up for that year. Her dresses were noticeably longer and was more grandiose than her 2014 red carpet dresses. Just compare her VMA dress from 2014 to 2015. Whilst in 2014, she had a more sleek look to her, now, we see her in a more haute couture look. Her Tom Ford Grammy dress in 2015 AMA dress perfectly showcases this. Her style now is significantly more flirty and more revealing. Nicki Minaj loved herself a Chanel bag, and she often sported one for her more casual outfits. Her casual style kept up with a lot of 2015 trends, focusing on comfortability more than anything. Overall, 2015 Nicki was just a more refined version of 2014 Nicki. 2015 was also the time that the Pink Print tour by Nicki Minaj started, which is currently the best-selling tour headlined by a female rapper. Because of this, we saw an abundance of performance outfits from Nicki Minaj. We saw her return to the more colorful and glittery outfits that she wore, albeit with a more current silhouette and still very minimal compared to her previous performance outfits. 2016 Nicki continued upon the path that 2015 Nicki was on. For the first time since 2013, Nicki Minaj attended the Met Gala once again with this Jeremy Scott bondage-like dress. Of course, one of Nicki's most iconic looks of all time, her 2016 VMAs dress. Her style in 2016 seems to be a precursor for 2017 Nicki. In 2016, Nicki Minaj was still relatively liked by most, if not all, of the general public. She was the premier female rapper of the decade, and she was the only one that remained consistent throughout the years. But sadly, a struggling female rapper would try to take her crown, but Nicki Minaj was not letting down.
Disrespect Nicki Minaj? What?
After releasing 2 songs at the start of February that allegedly contained disses towards rapper Remy Ma retaliated with the infamous diss song, Sheather. I won't be going through their feud as I already have a dedicated video all about their feud. Watch that after watching this video. But nevertheless, Sheather was the catalyst for the Nicki hate train. So Nicki responded with a 3-pack from Paris released on March 10, 2017, containing the songs No Frauds, Changed It, and Regret in Your Tears. All 3 songs charted on the Hot 100, with No Frauds peaking at number 14 on the chart. The 3-pack from Paris also came with another style evolution from Nicki Minaj, spearheaded by her new stylist, Maher Dridi. As the Nicki hate train started to gain more traction and Nicki Minaj's throne was being questioned by ugly and dumb bitches, and she started being disrespected, Nicki started to adopt a more sharp, contemporary, clean, and streamlined fashion sense. She started wearing more abstract designs and more unconventional cuts and styles. A lot of her choices felt unorthodox at the time, but somehow she made it work. Her style was filled with drama, just like her career and life at that point. To combat the claims that Nicki Minaj was no longer the queen of rap, she styled herself as the queen of a theoretical rap monarch line. Basically, Nicki dressed like hip-hop royalty. As one Twitter user put it was urban renaissance. She was both experimental but classic, edgy but elegant, minimalist yet maximalist at the same time. All of those clashing ideals was mixed perfectly to create a specific look that only Nicki Minaj was going to be able to pull off. And all of these are complemented by her 40-inch long, now called Nicki Inches, which was her idea back when she was in Paris. That long hair both grabbed the attention of everyone on the internet while still complementing the new style that she has. Her makeup here as well is my absolute favorite makeup era other than 2015. It just felt natural yet still done up. This was supposed to be the year Nicki Minaj released her 4th album, but after the Remy Ma diss, she focused on the 3-pack from Paris to get back at Remy Ma. She also continuously dragged Remy Ma through her features, and it continued all the way up to 2018. I think that's also one of the reasons why Nicki started dressing up the way that she did. Not only did she show that professionally she could beat Remy Ma, she could also beat her in every aspect in life, including fashion-wise. There were specific pieces and elements that Nicki continuously used to create a cohesive aesthetic. Nicki loved herself a latex moment, a lace moment, one-piece outfits, crazy eyewear, asymmetry, jewels, diamonds, and rhinestones on her clothes to replicate royalty. Her editorials at this point match the theme of her style here. Experimental yet still elegant and clean. Her paper magazine cover broke the internet, and we can see the elements I just listed above. Her X magazine cover also featured latex, and it's a very clean-cut, sharp image. Dade's concept for Nicki Minaj's editorial was very out of the box and cutting edge. Literally, they cut her face and posted it on backgrounds, and I'm kinda loving it. Some of my favorite looks from this mini era are her tidal lace look, such an iconic Nicki Minaj look, her 2017 Met Gala dress, her 2017 VMAs look, that's literally a top 3 Nicki Minaj look. Her no frauds look, her motorsport look, her Moneyball performance look for Jimmy Fallon when she performed Drake It Up, and literally just all of it. I love it so much. This mini era is my favorite Nicki Minaj period in terms of fashion and styling because it was experimental, high fashion realness, she had the look, she was the it girl. This is the pink print for a lot of the female rappers now in terms of fashion. This is what they want to duplicate.
I don't know why y'all keep on saying the iPhone better than Android. It's just as good.
Nicki Minaj released her fourth studio album, Queen, on August 10, 2018. It was Nicki's first album in nearly 4 years following the Pink Print in 2014. Queen is a majority hip-hop album containing elements of trap, dancehall, reggae, pop, and R&B. Though it wasn't crowned as Nicki's best album, it is still hailed as Nicki's most sonically consistent album. When asked about Queen, Nicki Minaj said that her upcoming album would be her best body of work, a classic hip-hop album that people will never forget. And she described the era as a billion times more epic than anything Anaconda could have delivered. And though the entire Queen era was riddled with the Nicki hate train, radio blackballs, flying shoes, and just overall messiness, the album still managed to go number 2 on the Hot 100, selling over 185,000 copies, and it is now a certified platinum album. Just like all of her albums, Nicki Minaj adopted a new look for this specific era. To build up hype for the album, Nicki Minaj went on her longest hiatus without releasing music or posting on social media at the time, and she came back for a Mercedes-Benz commercial, which now featured her new Queen era look. She then released both songs, Barbie Things, a promo single, and Chun-Li, the lead single for Queen. Chun-Li was also released with a vertical video, and then later on a music video alongside Barbie Things. The Queen era saw the reintroduction of an alter ego Nicki previously used in 2012, and that alter ego is Chun-Li. If you knew your Nicki Minaj alter ego lore, you would know that Chun-Li is named after the Street Fighter character with the same name. And she's from China, and she now resides inside Nicki Minaj's head as the bad guy. She's the bad guy, Chun-Li.
They need rappers like me. They need rappers like me. So they can get on their fucking keyboards and make me a bad guy, Chun-Li.
With all of this in mind, we can see the influence of Chun-Li, the alter ego, in Nicki's new fashion style. Though elements of her 2017 style still remained, now she incorporates more grunge and punk elements, infused with a sleek and sexy silhouette, whilst keeping in mind her Chinese heritage to provide us a more rough, tough, and bold yet sleek look. She wears a lot of pieces with cutouts, spikes, and clothes with a BDSM influence to create this sort of unique look for Chun-Li. It's sort of as if Nicki Minaj is dressing the part as the bad guy, and she's playing into the character that people have created in their heads on what Nicki Minaj is. 2018 Nicki also started adopting a more seductress type of persona and aura. For the 2018 Met Gala, which had the theme of heavenly bodies fashioned in the Catholic imagination, Nicki Minaj, rather than dressing as the Pope like Rihanna or angels or anything really, Nicki decided to wear this red and black dress by Oscar de la Renta, cosplaying as the devil herself. This plays into her new at the time bad guy persona that she was playing as, and I thought that was genius, honestly, and it doesn't hurt that she looks absolutely beautiful in it. As the title of the album is Queen, Nicki starts on wearing more queen-like attire. Compared to her 2017 looks, which was an interpretation on a modern day hip-hop royal look, now she takes on a more regal look with gold accents everywhere, but with an updated and modernized silhouette. This can be seen in her 2018 VMA performance, 2018 EMA's red carpet look, and her 2018 Wonderland editorial. Oh, and of course, the Queen album cover and Ganja Burns looks. I preferred her makeup look in 2017, but I'm not trying to say her 2018 makeup look is bad. It actually looks good on Nicki, and I think her makeup look now is very consistent. For her hair, Nicki started her long-time hair relationship with Arrogant Tate, and she sported a lot of styles, sometimes space buns or Chinese-inspired hairstyles, like her 2018 VMA's red carpet look or Chun-Li look, and she also started experimenting with her wig styles, like this side fade wig from the BET Awards, and Nicki just started sporting more different color wigs compared to her more natural pink print days and her 40-inch long jet black inches from 2017, and it is starting to resemble her earlier looks with the wigs, and this is the same for her style as well. For looks other than regal and bad guy side, we can see Nicki Minaj sport looks that can be taken from the re-up era, but modernized and made more sexier. The outfits, though it had some of the fun spirit and quirky colors of her more earlier looks, the looks were significantly less busy and crowded, though that still didn't stop people from calling some of her outfits tacky and unpolished. These different ideas on how Nicki should dress gave us a lot of variety in her looks, but it also gave us a more incohesive, uncoordinated, and just a generally less thought out aesthetic, which also matches with a lot of the criticism that the Queen era's promotion and plan received. This was also around the time that Nicki started collaborating with a lot of clothing brands, which further solidified her status as a fashion icon. She collabed with Diesel with her own capsule collection, playing around her persona as the bad guy, her iconic Chun-Li cover with her Fendi print jacket and earrings, plus her Chun-Li lyric, "Ayo, I been on, bitch you been con, Bentley tints on, Fendi prints on," and it spawned her now iconic Fendi prints online, which had a whole movement of its own, being worn by many celebrities and the baddest bitches. Some of my favorite looks from Nicki circa 2018 was her 2018 Met Gala dress, her Chun-Li vertical video / courtside look, her 2018 VMA's look, and 2018 EMA's look. Oh, and of course, her look at the 2018 Harper's Bazaar Icons Party. Nicki also started touring around this time with the Nicki World Tour, and her outfits here reflected her 2018 style. She has the more bondage/BDSM Chun-Li bad guy look, the more royal and regal queen-like looks, and the more colorful, playful look that recalls a lot on Roman Reloaded. For 2019, Nicki Minaj dropped the bad guy and regal looks, and she just started wearing a lot of pieces that looked good on her. Around this year, Nicki wore a lot of looks that had different aesthetics to each other. This was the year she released her Fendi line, so she started wearing that alongside a lot of Fendi pieces. She started becoming more of a chameleon in her fashion, as she didn't have a specific project to promote anymore. And this sort of philosophy continues till this day. For the first half of 2020, we saw Nicki Minaj promoting her new single, Yikes, and just going about her everyday life, going to parties, preparing to release music. For the few moments that we did see Nicki in 2020, she still continued with this new chameleon approach when it comes to her fashion. We can see here some militaristic and utilitarian look, a logomania type of look, figure-hugging dresses. She didn't have a theme here really, and she didn't need one, as she didn't have anything to promote other than Yikes and features. For her mini Yikes era, she had red hair and she paraded around as her new alter ego, Queen Sleaze, someone we will see more often. She went through RuPaul's Drag Race as Queen Sleaze, with her red hair complete with a full red ensemble. Nicki Minaj was gearing up and she was set to release her next album around 2020. Then, shit hit the fan. You know the thing that rhymes with Movid, Novid, that thing, yeah? And that thing kind of put any plans Nicki had on hold. The future looks that we could have gotten had now Thanos snapped, disappeared. The thing that rhymed with Fovid cut the tracks for the new era, and we are left with this mini moment. And it left us with the question, what could have been? 2020 was the year Nicki Minaj got pregnant, and she decided to announce her pregnancy through 2 sets of photo shoots. One photo shoot was shot by David LaChapelle, and these photos came out immaculate. It was high concept, and it saw Nicki mimicking the Virgin Mary in its attire, which Nicki openly cites as her inspo in her caption. It also featured the more naked Nicki, which she herself revealed she didn't like at the time, which is why she didn't go with these photos as the announcement. The photo shoot she did decide to really announce her pregnancy were these. Nicki had more of a connection with these photos as she felt it was more on brand with her, and it represented her more. These photos saw Nicki go back to her Pink Friday Harajuku Barbie roots, wearing a very Harajuku inspired bikini, which perfectly showcased her baby bump. Nicki has openly stated that her next era would be sort of a comeback to Pink Friday, teasing a hashtag PF2 coming soon. She still released music videos and promoted songs while pregnant, but oftentimes Nicki hid her pregnancy in music videos, like in Shows, Expensive, and What That Speed Bout. In What That Speed Bout, the behind the scenes photos showed us that Nicki wore this very futuristic number that put Papa Bear proud and out there. After giving birth, we really didn't see much of Nicki other than photos for an unknown project and her Christmas outfit. Both outfits, I would say, gave me really 2017 vibes, but with a slightly different vibe and styling that was distinctly 2020 Nicki. Her Christmas outfit is literally one of my favorite looks from her. Like, that's mother, literally. She then went on hiatus, her longest hiatus actually, and she came out with a bang, re-releasing Beam Me Up Scott in May 14, 2021. Nicki's wardrobe around this year was more casual than her previous eras, as Nicki really just stayed inside her house. Her style now was a bit more streetwear inspired, but still with that elegant Nicki Minaj touch. She didn't really need to wear elaborate gowns and all of that, as she just stayed in the house, and we can describe her look as a very much elevated on-home panini look. For the second half of 2021, Nicki was able to go on more events and do more work, such as appearing in her first music video since 2020 with Boys, with Nicki wearing a very familiar sort of bad girl look. Her Savage X Fenty look, wherein she met with Rihanna, was also a callback to her 2018 bad guy era fashion, which is supported by her wearing her Chun-Li chain. She also went back to a more elegant and glamorous look for some of her outfits, as she was no longer inside the house. Some of my favorite looks from this year was her Real Housewives reunion look, her Charles Snow's floral dress, and this look. For 2020, Nicki Minaj released Do We Have a Problem and Bussin' on consecutive weeks at February 4 and 3 and 11 respectively. Back at the helm is Rushka, Nicki's 2014 stylist, and you can definitely tell that Rushka is back. Classic Rushka styling is back, with Nicki getting a more sophisticated and glamorous aesthetic, wearing Mugler, Marc Jacobs, even being part of the ad campaign for Marc Jacobs' line, Heaven, which shows that Nicki is still able to keep up with the times and is still an it girl. I really can't comment much on this year as it is still ongoing, and I'm sure Nicki Minaj will have more outfits for the upcoming NM5. Personally, I really resonate with Nicki's mixtape looks, as my personal style philosophy falls under that era. The McBling style is the aesthetic I personally associate with. But for Nicki, my favorite era from her in terms of fashion is 2017. But my hair just added the sophistication and experimentation on Nicki, and she was so mother for that year. Anyways, that's it for all of you guys. Nicki Minaj has reinvented herself over and over and over again. And you can see this in her fashion as well. Other than her music, fashion is her way of showing which emotion she's feeling, what she wants to convey. Her fashion is very intentional. But I think a great thing about Nicki Minaj that a lot of artists who do reinvent themselves don't have is that Nicki has 100% remained Nicki, whoever Nicki was at that time, and she never lost sight as to who she was. And that's really it. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching, and that is the evolution of Nicki Minaj's fashion. Oh my god, the alarm set off. Quickly, let's go.
Happy.
Nicki Minaj has a lot of people living in her head. I would know since I am one of them. Yes, you may not know this, but I am one of the lesser known alter egos by Nicki Minaj. I am NICKI MINAJ, and I'm just here, chilling, just here to spill the tea on what the is really happening here in this video with Nicki Minaj's alter egos explained. Shout out to the Nicki Minaj wiki for compiling a lot of the info to a very organized list. Thank you guys. Having an alter ego is actually surprisingly very common amongst musicians, rappers, and singers alike, especially the 2010s pop girls. Beyonce with Sasha Fierce, Miley Cyrus as Hannah Montana, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, every 2010 main pop girl had an alter ego at one point. But having an alter ego isn't a new concept. This is something that has been done for centuries now. One of the earliest examples of having an alter ego in music was with 19th century composer Robert Schumann, who was well aware that his personality had maniac tendencies. In Schumann's early 20s, he created two characters for his inner dialogue. Florissant was impassioned, rebellious, fiery, and wildly energetic, and Eusebius was orderly, quiet, reflective, and introspective. Very familiar. Schumann often wrote about how these two characters inspired different moments in his music. In 1950, Hank Williams began recording as Luke the Drifter, a moral character who sang about the gospel and good deeds. This allowed Hank Williams to go about his business singing songs about drinking, cheating, and chasing women. David Bowie is known for many outlandish alter egos in his early career, but Tin White Duke, his 1976 character associated with Station to Station, was surprising for what it wasn't. Tin White Duke's style was much more subdued with a classic tailored white shirt and waistcoat. Lady Saw is the most famous woman in dancehall reggae. Her sexually charged, energetic songs are matched by risque performances. But every now and then, she'll perform a ballad or gospel tune and announce beforehand that she's performing the song as Marion Hall, which is her real name. In rap, the most famous example of an alter ego, I think, other than Nicki, is Eminem's Slim Shady. Slim Shady is described as the evil and mischievous side of Eminem. Eminem claims that Slim Shady exists to say the things that Eminem can't. Again, aren't you getting deja vu? What I think a lot of people forget is that Nicki Minaj is a theater kid, and she has incorporated that background of hers to give her music an edge. Being theatrical and animated is just natural to her. Doing different voices, embodying characters, that's something that theater really cultivated inside of Nicki. And I think that was how Nicki started with her alter egos. And her alter egos were a huge selling factor for her at the start and the reason why she became so successful. I think one of the reasons why Nicki's alter egos work so well is because they're very distinctive. They're full-fledged characters with backstories and mannerisms, and even the way Nicki raps. You can distinctly identify who's who in a lot of Nicki's raps and verses. And that's something that a lot of rappers who do use alter egos lack. Being able to actually identify between your alter egos. Over the years, Nicki Minaj has created a lot of alter egos. Of course, we have the main characters, but there were also a lot of one-time characters that Nicki created as well. And I'm going to be going through all of the main alter egos of Nicki Minaj, as well as some of the more interesting ones that she has.
Okay, let's move on.
It's Barbie, bitches.
Barbie is, I think, Nicki's most utilized alter ego. It's her longest running alter ego besides Nicki Minaj herself. I mean, Barbie itself is a big part of Nicki's aesthetic, the whole pink aesthetic, that's her style. She's the Harajuku Barbie. Nicki the Harajuku Barbie has the characteristics and features of a fun, whimsical, quirky, coy, girly girl fashionista that loves everything pink. She's very known for speaking very softly and she acts more naively than any of her other alter egos. But there are instances, especially in the beginning of her existence, when she was much more confident and cocky. She can be seen in the Pink Friday cover. She's usually seen either wearing a pink wig or a blonde wig. Nicki also has a chain for Barbie which she wears a lot, and her style is instantly recognizable. I mean, it's in her name, the Harajuku Barbie. The Harajuku Barbie is often interpreted as the fashion behind Nicki Minaj's style. Here's a video of Nicki Minaj in the Beam Me Up Scotty era explaining Harajuku Barbie.
So, all girls, like, sometimes girls will call themselves something Barbie, like Black Barbie or da-da-da Barbie. And I don't know, one day I just woke up and put the two words together because I love the Harajuku culture, because the way they dress is the way I am on the inside. Like, free-spirited, girls just want to have fun, kick ass, like, pop, rock and roll, whatever the fuck you want to do, hip hop. That's how I feel. And that's what my music is going to feel like when I do my album. And so I wanted to merge Harajuku with Barbie because all girls are Barbies. We all want to play dress up. We all want to put on lipstick and be cute and sexy. But we're, we're icons, we're moguls, we're all those things. So Harajuku Barbie, they just fit my personality, and it happens to fit a lot of other girls' personalities because now everybody's a Barbie. So shout out to all my Barbies.
So as you can see, she really started honing the Barbie alter ego in Beam Me Up Scotty and fully fledged her out in Pink Friday. The Harajuku Barbie style was adopted by many female fans of Nicki in her early days, which led to them calling themselves Harajuku Barbies, eventually over time shortening to simply be Barbs. And so Nicki's coinage of the fashion term eventually led to the common name for the female members of Team Minaj, which then became the name of the entire fan base. I thought that was a cute fact. To identify if the Harajuku Barbie is the one rapping, we must first look out for her features. As said earlier, she is soft-spoken, naive, and high-pitched, move your hips, okay? Tell him to go and tell him to stay. Hey, I know I just triggered a lot of y'all's PTSD right now. I'm sorry. Nicki also sometimes sings "It's Barbie, bitch," and that can be an indicator for Barbie being in the song. Nicki has also named 6 songs with Barbie in the title: Barbie Tings, Barbie Dreams, Bust Down Barbiana, Barbie Drip, Barbie Going Bad, and Black Barbies. But Barbie wasn't the main alter ego in those songs. Some very notable appearances of Barbie is in Monster, Bedrock, Bottoms Up, Your Love, Vava Voom, Moment for Life, Good Form, Poke It Out, and my favorite appearance of Barbie, 5-Star Remix.
I just had an epiphany. I need the gout to Tiffany. Fendi on my slippers and my cookies always slippery. Did I stutter? Have a juku hyphen. Barbie, I'm hot. I think it's time to put the Young Money red flag. No more auditions. Ask Little Wayne who the 5-star.
What's your name?
Roman Zelensky. I think even though Barbie is probably her most popular alter ego, Roman is Nicki Minaj's most iconic alter ego. Nicki Minaj described who Roman is in her documentary My Time Now.
Roman is a crazy boy who lives in me. He says the things that I don't want to say. He was born, just a few months ago. I think he was born out of rage. He was conceived in rage. So he bashes everyone. He threatens to beat people and he's violent.
It must be nice to have like an ignorant loudmouth who you can just sort of blame every...
He wants to be blamed. I don't want to blame him. I ask him to leave, but he can't. He's here for a reason. People have brought him out. People conjured him up. Now he won't leave.
As described by Nicki, Roman, who was just a few months old at the time, was born out of rage. He's a crazy homosexual male from London, England. And he's characterized as angry, far more outspoken, and maybe even more evil and malicious than Nicki herself. He's violent, cuckoo in the brains, just Roman. He says the things that Nicki would never say. As said earlier, this has been a trope in alter egos in music. A lot of people use an alter ego for someone who is more crazy, more confident, more outspoken, offensive. But I think what separates Roman from other alter egos that is similar is that Nicki really fleshed this character out. Roman has a full-on backstory. On The Legend of Roman, created for the Nicki World Tour, Nicki kind of narrates the legend of Roman. In here, Roman was a warrior who traveled from the world known as Pink Slum, which is in complete devastation, and he traveled to planet Earth to fight Nemesis. And people have speculated that this Nemesis fight can be seen from the Fly music video, and that the legend of Roman can actually be seen in the opening visuals of the Nicki World Tour. Roman's first appearance on a song was in Nicki's iconic My Chick Bad verse. She then appeared on Bottoms Up as well. In those appearances, Roman was very explicit, but we really didn't know anything about the character just yet. Around this time, Nicki still hasn't developed Roman fully, first mentioning him as her new name, then she announced on Twitter that Roman was her twin sister. She gave little information on Roman, but Roman was described as crazy and conspicuously female. Then she did the My Time Now documentary, and that's when Roman was retconned and he became a fully fledged character. Roman was often compared to Eminem's own Slim Shady, and I'm pretty sure Nicki did use Slim Shady as some form of inspiration for Roman, and so it was inevitable that both Slim Shady and Roman came together on a song considering their similarities and how they might get along, and they did. Roman's Revenge is a grand introduction for Roman. And what better introduction for a very angry, out there, loud alter ego than to share it with an established, very angry, out there, loud alter ego. Martha Zelensky, Roman's mother, first appeared on Roman's Revenge, and I'm gonna get to her character later on. In the opening sequence of the Moment for Life music video, Martha tells Nicki that Roman has been sent away to a Russian boarding school with Slim Shady as punishment for causing chaos and wreaking havoc across the industry, which is a reference to what they did to Roman's Revenge. Around November 2011, in a cryptic message posted on Nicki's blog, which sadly isn't around anymore, Nicki thanked the Barbs and teased what's to come. She said in the post, Roman will be in rare form this time. You know why? Because he no longer gives a fuck. He has 2 more weeks in boarding school. We're going to pick him up now. When he lands, he will address the nation in the form of music. He will announce the date. And in December 2, 2011, Roman was seen in Moscow through the song Roman in Moscow. Here, we see Roman presumably breaking free from said boarding school and just spazzing and causing chaos. This is supported by the unreleased music video which Nicki gave a synopsis of. Well, he was there in Moscow secretly because Martha wanted him to go there, so they put him in this thing with monks and nuns. They were trying to rehabilitate him, but I can't tell exactly what happened. You'll just see it in the video format, but let's just say he got out of there. After causing all of that chaos, Martha has had enough and she tried to get Roman exorcised at the 2012 Grammys. It is still unclear whether Roman really was possessed or if it was the real him all along. Neither do we know if the exorcism was successful or not. At the end of the performance, Roman was raised into the air by the priest and he asks for forgiveness from Martha. Then he lies there presumably dying. This is also one of the last times we see Roman, and this is the end of his story. So this can be symbolized as the death of Roman, which is confirmed by Nicki through an interview she did wherein she said that she got tired of Roman, so he died. And this can be seen through the fact that she was absent from the Pink Print and mostly all of Nicki's work after Roman Reloaded. Nicki has 4 songs with Roman on the title: Roman's Revenge, Roman's Holiday, Roman Reloaded, and Roman in Moscow. Roman is also the main focus of Nicki's second album, Pink Friday, Roman Reloaded. Roman can be identified with this very distinct tone that Nicki uses for Roman. I described it as a you know, a lot of grunting sounds, a lot of the like you see in Monster. Roman still makes small appearances here and there. He can be heard in the end part of Barbie Dreams as well as Zanies and Fools. Recently, he was seen making an appearance at Nicki's carpool karaoke whilst rapping Monster, and Nicki quickly locked him in before he could even escape. There are rumors that Roman is set to make an appearance at NM5, but we still have yet to see.
It's Martha.
What?
It's Martha.
Martha Zelansky is the mother of Roman Zelensky. Martha is a British nun and she can be described as a very uptight, classy, demanding mother who always seems to look after Roman, so he won't get into trouble because of his violent acts. And I mean, if you have a son like Roman, I'm pretty sure he would start acting like Martha. But when Roman is away, where he's both safe and secure, Martha can relax a bit, you know, and get out her crazy side and just be free. There's a fun person inside Martha. She first makes her appearance at the end of Roman's Revenge, wherein Martha tells Roman and Slim Shady to wash their mouths with soap and for them to go to bed. Martha then makes her first visual appearance at Moment for Life, wherein she was a fairy godmother to Nicki, who was about to marry sister Drake. Martha can also be heard singing the chorus of Roman Holiday saying, in here, she commands Roman to just take a break, you know, take a Roman holiday. Interestingly enough, we actually only hear Martha rap once in Nicki Minaj's whole discography. Martha always usually just makes small speeches to Roman, but Martha was seen rapping in Born to Be Wild by Sean Kingston featuring Nicki Minaj. If you would die, then why would you try? And if you reply as you in a tie is what you would buy, then you will be mine, because you and I were born to be wild. I am Martha, you King Arthur, who knew you would land me? I've been known to eat these rappers, cook them like Chef Ramsay. In here, we see Martha in a completely different light. Here, she's in love, kooky, fun. She's a lot happier without Roman bugging her down. I actually have a theory that this might be Roman before Roman was born. She was just dating and having fun. Also, I am Martha, you King Arthur, who knew you would land me? What if King Arthur was Roman's dad? We might also have seen Martha outside of Nicki and what she would presumably look like in real life in the prelude before Nicki's 2012 Grammy performance, wherein she called the priest to exorcise Roman. As Martha is intrinsically tied to Roman as a character, we probably will not see her again unless Nicki brings Roman back. So it is unlikely that we will ever see her again.
What's up, y'all? It's Onika Tanya Mirage, and
I think a lot of people forget that Nicki Minaj's true self isn't even Nicki Minaj, because Nicki is a character in and of itself. The true Nicki is Onika Tanya Mirage. Onika Tanya Mirage, for those of you who don't know, is Nicki's real name. Onika is not really an alter ego per se, more than she is the normal Nicki. And we usually see her when she shows her true self and when she shows vulnerability in her songs. Onika Tanya Mirage is the main person we see rapping in the Pink Print, and she shines in songs like All Things Go, I Lie, The Crying Game, Butterflies, and of course, Grand Piano. I think the best song that really showcases Onika, with a hint of pop sensibility still, is Pills and Potions. Pills and Potions was one of the first times we really saw Onika on Nicki's music videos. Onika usually dresses with very minimal makeup and a very simple wardrobe, which kind of represents how she is shedding the Nicki image and letting people see more of her underneath all the crazy outfits and crazy wigs and crazy makeup. Onika really is the rawest form of Nicki. She has been seen throughout Nicki's whole discography, from her mixtape days to Queen. Recently, we heard Onika sing on Nicki's collab with Elton John and Young Thug on I Will Always Love You. Onika is someone that we will see in Nicki's future music, and I think she's the most constant person that we will see throughout her discography, because these other alter egos, they're gonna come and go. But the one thing that will remain is Onika Tanya Mirage.
Because I'm the bad guy, and I wanted to make sure bitches knew that the bad guy was here.
The embodiment of the Nicki bad guy rumors, Chun-Li tells everyone, you know what, maybe you bitches are right. If you want me to be the bad guy, so be it. Born in the outskirts of China, Chun-Li is very defensive, cutthroat, unapologetic, and intimidating. She was named Chun-Li after obviously Chun-Li from the Street Fighter, who was actually the first playable female character of any mainstream fighting video game franchise. This might be one of the reasons Nicki chose Chun-Li as her new alter ego, and this can be a reference to Nicki's impact on female rap and hip-hop as a whole. And no, for all those who are dumb enough to think that Nicki thinks Chun-Li is the bad guy, that's not what's happening. Nicki Nicki knows that Chun-Li is not the bad guy. That's the whole point. Nicki sees herself as Chun-Li, as one of the heroes, but people think otherwise. They paint her to be the bad guy. The whole point of this alter ego is to satirize the fact that even though you are the hero, even though you are here for good, even though you've opened several doors for others like you and you've paved the way for them to be successful, they might still see you as the bad guy. Chun-Li is basically this personified. Interestingly enough, Chun-Li has actually existed way before the release of Chun-Li in 2018. Chun-Li's first appearance was in Fireball by Willow Smith featuring Nicki Minaj in 2011. And here, Nicki raps, "Okay, I'm the street fighter, call me Chun-Li, and it's going down like a bum knee, but built a guest house to put the coop in, cause I'm a fireball Hadouken." Nicki Minaj then revitalizes this alter ego in the release of both Chun-Li and Barbie Tings in 2018. Chun-Li is an integral part of the Queen album, appearing in several tracks on the album including of course Chun-Li, Chun Sui, and Coco Chanel. She was also seen in The Light Is Coming by Ariana Grande featuring Nicki Minaj. Chun-Li can usually be seen wearing very Chinese and Asian inspired outfits, which references her roots from China. Her fashion style is very sexy and very erotic. Usually it's very edgy and with a lot of cutouts, which signifies her very cutthroat personality and the anger that she has inside from all the negativity that people are saying about her. What differs Chun-Li from Roman is I think the female aspect of Chun-Li. The femininity of Chun-Li is very much tied in her character, and I think this is important to note because sadly, a lot of the hate that Nicki receives, not only from the Nicki hate train, but also her career as a whole, is because of her being a woman. The tone of Roman as well from Chun-Li is very different. Whilst Roman is very angry and very loud in his raps, Chun-Li is much more cutthroat and straight to the point. While Roman is very offensive in his stance, Chun-Li is more on the defensive. I think we will not be seeing Chun-Li in Nicki's future work anymore as she was a very reactionary alter ego for the Nicki hate train, and I think Chun-Li will sadly remain a time capsule in Nicki's career stuck in 2018.
It's the Queen Sleaze.
Queen Sleaze. This is, I would say, the most divisive Nicki alter ego ever. Either you hate her or you love her. Nicki Minaj described Queen Sleaze on Twitter saying, "She's more calm but way deadlier. My husband always says he's more afraid when I talk wide than when I yell. He said that's how he knows when I'm dead the fuck serious." So from this, we can conquer that Queen Sleaze is a more lethal alter ego than any of her other alter egos. And unlike Roman, who is someone that is theatrically angry, Nicki portrays Queen Sleaze as someone who is more serious. I don't even think that Queen Sleaze is angry at heart. I think at this point, after being Chun-Li in 2018, now Nicki's just having fun and not being so much on the offensive and defensive anymore. And we can see this in the tone of how Queen Sleaze raps. There's a somewhat playful tone with Queen Sleaze, and there's just a calmness and contentness with her. If Chun-Li raps like she has something to prove, Queen Sleaze raps like she has already proven what she truly is, which is the queen. Queen Sleaze can also be characterized with her talking of ops, which seems to be her favorite topic to talk about these days. And a lot of the Barbs has now made this an inside joke. The first whispers we have of Queen Sleaze is with the 3 remixes Nicki released on February 2019. Barbie Going Bad, Bust Down Barbiana, and Barbie Drip. Especially in Barbie Going Bad, wherein the characteristics we now associate with Queen Sleaze can be seen and heard here. In Barbie Going Bad, Nicki raps, "You asked for the goat so they sent me sleaze. Tryna lay low, don't tempt me sleaze. 30 and the clip will be emptied sleaze. Made her change her mind in the judge chamber sleaze." Queen Sleaze then officially appears in the Suge remix back in July 2019, with Queen Sleaze rapping, "Queen Sleazy era, and they never see me ever. Cause I send my shooters and they introduce us as soon as I pull the lever." Some confirmed appearances of Queen Sleaze are in Fendi, Yikes, and Whole Lotta Choppa remix. She is also speculated to be in most Nicki releases from 2020 to 2022. She was recently seen in Do We Have a Problem, Bussin', Blick Blick, and We Go Up. And it seems like Queen Sleaze will be a big part of NM5 as well, much to the chagrin of some Barbs. Queen Sleaze is inspired by Nicki's hood upbringing, and possibly inspired by her husband as well. Queen Sleaze's most prominent feature physically is her red hair, which was a big part of Nicki's mini Yikes era. We have to note that the introduction of Queen Sleaze back in 2018 was very intentional, as Nicki was set to release her 5th album back in 2020. But of course, obviously because of the Panini and Nicki being pregnant with Papa Bear, it was pushed back and back until today, which NM5 will hopefully be released by this year. Anyways, we would have seen Queen Sleaze more prominently if those things didn't happen and push back the album. It's also interesting to note the divisiveness of Queen Sleaze amongst the Barbs. Queen Sleaze is someone that really divides the fan base, and I think this can be blamed with Nicki's versatility. You're gonna have some people who only like a specific part of you and not this other part, and a lot of the people that I see that doesn't like Queen Sleaze are usually Pop Nicki fans. And it's kind of baffling to me how so many Barbs don't like Queen Sleaze when Queen Sleaze is probably the most closest to Nicki's authentic self. Queen Sleaze is the closest to mixtape Nicki, who I will talk about in a second as well. And when you come to think about it, all these other alter egos that I have previously mentioned besides Onika herself are characters with backstories and distinct distinctions between them. But Queen Sleaze doesn't have a story. She's just there. And that's because Nicki didn't need to create a character for Queen Sleaze, because Queen Sleaze isn't really a character or an alter ego. She's a title more than anything. I asked the Barbs on Twitter why some of them didn't like Queen Sleaze, and one Barb said, "I personally think it's because they don't see real rap as a viable path for chart success. Queen Sleaze is too black, not mainstream enough. They say it in so many ways without saying it. And I agree 100%. Some of you barbs need to grapple with the fact that Nicki Minaj is not a pop star at heart. She is a rapper. Anyways, whatever some of these barbs say doesn't matter because Queen Sleaze is here to stay. And there's nothing you can do about that.
Up on my space or something, Nicki Minaj, NICKI MINAJ. You heard me?
Nicki Lewinsky, or more generally known as Mixtape Nicki, or Old Nicki in retrospect, was her most prominent alter ego when she was still underground releasing mixtapes. Though Nicki had a lot of alter egos when she was in her mixtape days, I think Lewinsky is really the one that was the most consistent and developed back when she was still underground. Nicki Minaj was Nicki's first ever alter ego, and she was the president for Nicki Lewinsky. Taking her last name with her, Nicki Minaj was Nicki when she was still finding her sound, and you can see Nicki Minaj most prominently back then when she was still in a band called the Hood Stars. Even though Nicki Minaj as a whole is very sexual and someone who owns her sexuality a lot, Nicki Lewinsky is someone who really revels on sexuality. She can be characterized by her sexually explicit and very daring lyrics, and she is often compared to Roman Zelensky, but Lewinsky is notably less aggressive and more raunchy. What's interesting is that a lot of people see Mixtape Nicki as Nicki at her rawest as a rapper because her rapping and lyrics wasn't dictated by the masses and she didn't have to worry about pandering to the general public like she has to do when she became mainstream. Her name is derived from Monica Lewinsky, who was the mistress of US President Bill Clinton, and Nicki used her name to compare how she is rocking with the Young Money president Lil Wayne, and to also kind of be cheeky with the rumors that Nicki and Wayne were canoodling. Nicki said about her naming her alter ego Nicki Lewinsky, people are gonna hear that name and be like, oh my god, this bitch is a bird. Monica got in the same room with the President of the United States of America. People don't look at that on the large scale and just see that she was giving him head. I knew it was gonna get attention and people would have something to say, but you gotta understand, I'm with the president of Young Money, the hottest rapper in the world right now. Monica was able to get at the biggest person in the world and she had him to herself. She could have used that to her advantage, but she didn't, and that's a sad story. Nicki Lewinsky is a different story. You can spot Lewinsky rocking the pink undertones with the push-up bra most of the time. Her style is the closest to that of the street style of 2008 for women, hood, sexy, and old school. She first appeared on Sunshine, a song included in her second mixtape, Sucker Free. In here, Nicki raps, "Hello Brooklyn President Carter Nicki Lewinsky." Because of the sexual nature of the girl who inspired Nicki Lewinsky, her lyrics using this persona were very erotic. During some mixtape songs, however, it seems like Nicki was just simply name-dropping the alter ego as opposed to actually being personified by it. Just like what she does with Queen Sleaze, I think, which really supports my idea that Queen Sleaze is the closest that Nicki is to her mixtape days. Nicki Lewinsky went on to be heavily featured in Beam Me Up Scotty, but once Nicki became mainstream during Pink Friday, Nicki Lewinsky was notably absent and she seemed to have been replaced by more eccentric alter egos like Barbie and Roman. This can be because once she realized children knew her lyrics, she felt guilty because it was not how she acted around her siblings of the same age. Because of this, Nicki officially stopped using Nicki Lewinsky as an alter ego. She once said in an interview promoting Starships, "When I was going to do my first album, people would say, what is she going to talk about? Is she just going to talk about sex?" So I made it my business to make an album that did not talk about sex at all. I made it my business to make an album that wasn't a vulgar album, because on my mixtapes I was very outlandish. By abandoning Lewinsky as a whole, Nicki aimed to go away from the public's preconceived notion that she had nothing to rap about other than sex. Another reason might also just be a need to grow as an artist. She talks about her abandonment of the character Lewinsky at the Pink Friday track Dear Old Nicki. In here, she talks about how she has changed from the ghetto fabulous Nicki Lewinsky to the global superstar Nicki Minaj. This song is sort of a letter to Nicki Lewinsky, and she questions whether her old self is just on hiatus or truly dead. But Nicki holds on to a sliver of hope that the old Nicki will come back. And though Nicki later on did become more sexual in her songs, Nicki Lewinsky never truly came back.
Red Ruby.
The Sleaze.
And now we have the newest and latest addition to Nicki's alter ego, Red Ruby the Sleaze. Red Ruby the Sleaze first appeared in her self-titled debut and second single of Pink Friday 2, Red Ruby the Sleaze. A mixture of both Roman Zelensky and Chun-Li, even mentioning her on the Red Ruby the song itself. These wanna be Chun-Li's anyway, ni hao. Red Ruby can be seen mostly in red and Asian-inspired outfits. What separates her from Queen Sleaze, who is more street-inspired, or Roman, who is absolutely crazy, Red Ruby is a bit more witty, calculating, and a bit more cutthroat in their approach. She has made multiple appearances in Pink Friday 2, specifically FTCU, her self-titled song, Forward from Trini, and also out of Pink Friday 2, like Bigfoot, Endless Fashion, Alone, and Princess Diana. I think the fact that Red Ruby is a clear amalgamation of both Chun-Li and Roman, and I would say all of her alter egos too, it kind of removes a lot of the identity of Red Ruby as an individual alter ego. I think sadly she is her weakest alter ego to date in terms of recognizability and distinguishability. However, that doesn't mean her raps are weak, because I think Red Ruby the song specifically is one of Nicki's best, and she was able to push the bar for female rap to a new height. Still ain't top Red Ruby, trying to steal my soul doesn't get up on my cookbook. I think the fact that there are multiple alter egos by Nicki already with a distinct personality, cadence, look, it's hard to come up with new ways to reinvent that, and I think that was the case for Red Ruby. Nonetheless, Red Ruby is still the T and I still love her. Besides the main alter egos that she has, Nicki Minaj also has a lot of more minor alter egos in which she may have used only once or a few times, but nonetheless it's still worth mentioning.
I'm from the Philippines, better than Billie Jean. Guess that is why I get more head than the guillotine.
Cookie was the first alter ego Onika created as a way to cope and escape the troubles of her home life as a child. She said in an interview, "To get away from all their fighting, I would imagine being a new person. Cookie was my first identity. That stayed with me for a while." Cookie was also featured in Nicki Minaj's first written rap ever back when she was still around 11.
Do you remember the first lyrics that you wrote?
Yes, I've said this before. It was such a little stupid little rap. Goes, cookies the name, chocolate chip is the flavor. Suck up my styles like a cherry lifesaver. I was like 11 and I wanted to show the girl next door because she was like a good rapper and she thought she was so much better than me. So when she left, I went home and I wrote this little rap so I can like show her. And then I rang her bell and I started saying my rap and she just stood there like.
If you come to think about it, Cookie is the catalyst for all of Nicki's alter egos in her career really, so let's appreciate Cookie. We love you, Cookie. Point Dexter, or Dexter for short, only appeared in the SNL skit song The Creep. She's characterized as very geeky, creepy, and sort of a pervert. Her favorite pastime is going inside the locker room of boys and watching them undress. Her name and identity was confirmed by Nicki through the tweet when she replied to a person asking what's the Creep character name, and she answered with, "Her name is Dexter. Point Dexter." You can identify Dexter with her signature glasses and suit and tie clothing. Sadly, we have never seen Dexter after the Creep song, and it's still rumored that Dexter is still hiding behind locker rooms spying at men till this day. Nicole is an alter ego of Nicki Minaj, and she appeared during Nicki's interview at Elle with herself. Nicole works for Elle, and she can be characterized as your typical sweet belly LA type of girl. We never see from her again. Norman, or Blanket Man, is another alter ego of Nicki Minaj who frequently made appearances on Ustream. Norman used to Ustream for fans to let them know what was going on with Nicki Minaj and the other alter egos. Norman can be identified with his signature scarf and sunglasses. Not much is known about Norman, as he is very mysterious and we barely get anything about him and his personality. Rosa is an alter ego of Nicki Minaj, and she was created during an interview on Lopez Tonight around December 2010. Because of the Mexican origins of the host, George Lopez, Nicki has decided to create a Spanish alter ego.
Your producers did speak to me and I invented a new character for George. Her name is Rosa.
Rosa! Rosa!
But you have to say it like, you have to really roll it long. Pause. You have to say
Nicki had an interview with SB.TV's interviewer Aaron. In the interview, Aaron asks Nicki if she could answer some questions with some of her alter egos. One of the alter egos that Aaron selected was Rosa.
Oh, ay, Dios mío, yo no sé. The best rapper? Oh my God, let me think, papi. Ay, yo no sé. Pitbull.
It can be noticed the distressed personality of Rosa and that she can speak some Spanish. Tyrone is an alter ego of Nicki Minaj, and he was announced for the very first time by Norman in a Ustream on May 7, 2011. He is a crackhead from Harlem, and he appears in a few songs of Nicki when his voice turns into a voice of someone that is drunk or high. Norman revealed that Tyrone was the one rapping Till the World Ends, the Femme Fatale remix. Nicki Teresa, also known as The Healer, is an alter ego that Nicki Minaj created on November 18, 2010. Nicki Teresa wore a colorful scarf around her head, and she went around as a healer to her fans as she visited them at the Garden of Dreams Foundation at Fuse Studios in New York City. She named her after Mother Teresa. The Garden of Dreams is a 501c3 non-profit charity whose objective is to make dreams come true for kids facing obstacles. And I'm sure there are more of my brothers and sisters living here at Nicki's head, but my spotlight is dimming a bit and Roman is trying to get out again, so we have to cut it here short. Nicki Minaj's alter egos aren't only there to be flashy and to be the spotlight, they're also there for a reason. Each era in Nicki Minaj's discography has had a main alter ego present that perfectly complements the album or project it's serving. Nicki Lewinsky or Mixtape Nicki for her mixtapes, Barbie for Pink Friday, Roman for Roman Reloaded, Onika for the Pink Print, Chun-Li for Queen, and Queen Sleaze for the Future and M5. These alter egos serve a purpose. They're here to reflect and accentuate what Nicki is trying to convey in her raps, and she's been able to do it consistently and with such wit and cleverness to each alter ego. And that's honestly why I really love Nicki Minaj's alter egos and why I think her alter egos surpass a lot of music's alter egos. And that's just it. Thank you so much guys for watching, and everyone here at Nicki Minaj's head wants to say to everyone watching, goodbye.
I'm so sorry, y'all. Oh, this is insanely embarrassing.
Nicki Minaj has 0 Grammys. Let that sink in. One of the biggest artists this generation, the best-selling female rapper, the most streamed female rapper, the female rapper that created hits like Super Bass, Starships, Anaconda, Bang Bang, Moment for Life, Chun-Li, and much more. The female rapper who brought female rap back from the dead and revitalized it and inspired an entire generation of female rappers has not won a Grammy. And the sad thing is, her not having a Grammy isn't due to a lack of talent or impact, because anyone with a sensible brain knows Nicki Minaj deserves one. Rather, this anomaly is because of politics, racism, and sexism in the music industry and the Recording Academy. So in today's video, we will be tackling the history between Nicki Minaj and the Grammys.
No, Grammys still a goat though.
A brief background on Nicki. Before she became the superstar that we know, Nicki Minaj was a fairly underground artist. But even as an underground artist, she was making a lot of noise on her own. This caught the attention of Lil Wayne, and when he saw Nicki on the Come Up DVD, she was signed to Young Money with Drake and Tyga. Well, that wasn't exactly what happened, but that's an abbreviated version of the events. Nicki released Massive Attack, which was intended to be the lead single for her debut album Pink Friday, but the song was dropped from the album due to poor commercial performance. The next single, however, Your Love, did great commercially and critically, with it peaking at number 14 on the Hot 100. Now you may be asking, Nathy, what does this have to do with the Grammys? Calm your tits, honey, I am getting there. So she also released Check It Out and Right Through Me as follow-up singles. Around October, Nicki Minaj released one of the most iconic verses, not only in her career, but in hip-hop history. Y'all already know where I'm going with this.
Monster automobile gangster with a bad bitch that came from Sri Lanka. Yeah, I'm in that Tonka color of Willy Wonka. You could be the king.
Monster featured Kanye West, Jay-Z, and Rick Ross on the song, but nobody remembers their verse. Like, come on, we listened to Monster because of Nicki Minaj. Critics loved Nicki's verse specifically, and it became such a staple in pop culture and Nicki Minaj's career that literally everyone knows this verse. The fact that she was able to slaughter these rap legends and Rick Ross proved that Nicki Minaj is that bitch. The song also featured Bon Iver, and remember that name because he's going to be important in the story. But Monster wasn't the only song Nicki was featured on. I call this period of time the feature era because Nicki was popping up in everyone's song around this time. Bedrock, 2012, Bottoms Up, Check It Out, Low Freak, Up All Night, and probably the most relevant to the story, My Chick Bad. My Chick Bad by Ludacris featuring Nicki Minaj was released on February 23, 2010, and it became a hit. It peaked at number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song was praised for its very animated lyricism and Nicki's verse. It was so well received that it got nominated for a 2011 Grammy Award in the category Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group, making this Nicki's first nomination on the Grammys ever. Nicki Minaj attended the Grammys in this head-to-toe leopard print outfit and that beehive wig. I mean, this was 2011 Nicki, so she was wearing the craziest outfits, and she pulls it off. Sadly, My Chick Bad and Nicki didn't win the Grammy. But things are looking up for Nicki. Nicki released Pink Friday, which boasted 375,000 units on its first week. This marked the second highest sales week for a female hip-hop recording artist behind Lauryn Hill in 1998. Pink Friday was also a critical success, though it was slightly bashed for being too pop. One of its singles, Moment for Life, was also an immense success, both critically and commercially, and it became one of Nicki's most recognizable songs. Also, back in October 2010, Nicki became the first female solo artist to have 7 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 simultaneously, with My Chick Bad, Knockout, Bottoms Up, Low Freak, Letting Go, Dirty Love, Your Love, and 2012 It Ain't the End. And she becomes the first woman to appear on MTV's annual Hottest MC list. All of these achievements and critical success led to her 3 nominations on the Grammys in 2012, with Best Rap Album for Pink Friday, Best Rap Performance for Moment for Life, and Nicki Minaj was herself nominated for Best New Artist. She was also nominated with Rihanna on the album Loud for Album of the Year as a featured artist. This was Nicki Minaj on her losing the 2011 Grammys and her nominations for the 2012 Grammys.
When I was at the Grammys last year, it was like I didn't even exist. And then to now be performing and to be nominated, it's a big deal. I'm not gonna be nervous about winning because I really don't think I'm gonna win anything. The way I look at it is, I know eventually in my career I'm gonna have Grammys. This year is just about being nominated. But in terms of me and my career, you know, the Grammys is everything. It's the only thing. In terms, you know, a music artist, like, it's what you live for, it's what you know, this is what you work for.
Nicki Minaj was also set to perform during the Grammys her song Roman Holiday. You know the meme? She also promoted the Grammys through her social media and the commercial with LL Cool J.
We're all getting ready for the Grammys.
And Nicki's been working on her surprise face in case she wins.
Yep. Check this out.
Okay.
Right. Hey, 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 hey. LL, Nicki M, CBS, only on CBS. Hey, 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 hey. Gotta speed it up. What's up? Like, come on, trying to get
my lips to move. My lips ain't going like.
Pause.
What you want me to?
Boom, boom, boom.
Still going.
Now, the Grammys happened. Nicki, on the red carpet, had a Pope stand by with her, and she was wearing this. And she performed one of the most controversial Grammy performances ever.
Hello, my child.
You don't belong here.
What's your name?
The Roman holiday performance was something else. It received immense backlash from the Catholic Church and the general public, with people saying she was being too Lady Gaga-ish. This was Nicki after the Grammys explaining and defending her performance.
Now let's talk Grammys for a minute. The performance stirred up a little controversy. I know people from the Roman Catholic Church were upset and whatever. What would you say to them?
I've been doing theater my whole life. I've been doing theater. So I'm confused because if he does a scene with a church, is that blasphemous? I'm confused. What I do is art. If you go and look at a painting and they have something that is, seems a little offensive, it's still art. I am painting a picture, and if you don't like it, you don't have to look. But would never be purposely offensive to anyone. Like, that's the last thing I want to do. But I want to get people away from ridiculing people because they're different, and that's the point. Let people be them. No, you're not God. Just embrace people and love them, and that's all it is. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. I stand firmly behind my Grammys performance because I wrote it, and when I wrote the script, I wrote Roman in a monastery, and that's what I created. I'm not going to write it in a monastery and do a performance in a circus. The story had to be told. Just like when you go and see The Exorcism, when you go and see The Devil Inside, it's a movie.
Sadly, Nicki walked out with no Grammys, as she lost all her nominations. Notably, she lost a Grammy for Best New Artist to Bon Iver. Now let's talk about the Roman holiday situation. Let me first introduce to you a new character in the story, Ken Ehrlich. Ken Ehrlich is an American television producer and director, and he is the showrunner of the Grammys Award for the last 40 years, with his last show being the 2020 Grammys. Basically, he is the white man that runs the Grammys. Being that Nicki Minaj was quickly becoming one of the hottest artists in the world around 2012, she was asked to perform at the Grammys. Ken Ehrlich and a bunch of Grammy producers came to Nicki's studio and listened to the Pink Friday Roman Reloaded record. Nicki then states in an interview with Ryan Seacrest, the Grammys chose Roman Holiday. The producers of the Grammys came to the studio and I played them Roman Holiday, and I could not play them another record after they heard that. They went crazy. Now, if the name Ken Ehrlich rings a bell, that's because he's the same man that Ariana had the little feud with for lying about the reason Ariana didn't perform at the Grammys in 2019. Nicki Minaj then tweets shortly after, "I pissed off the same man Ariana just called out for lying. Grammy producer Ken. I was bullied into staying quiet for 7 years out of fear. But I'll tell my fans the real on the next episode of #Queen Radio. They deserve the truth. Also, congrats to everyone who won last night." And this is the Queen Radio episode, which will also explain what happened at the Grammy stage.
Many, many, many moons ago, the Grammys asked me to perform, and I was very excited. I had already started breaking records. So by that time, it was kind of a big deal, and Grammys asked me to perform. They came to my studio, listened to the record, agreed they liked it, everything, and it just so happened that Whitney Houston passed away. And when I was about to go on stage, not the day before, not in the morning, but when I was about to go on stage, I was told by my then management that the people from the Grammys wanted to speak to me. They came into my dressing room and said, "We don't think you should perform. We don't want you to perform anymore."
Why?
And I said, huh? And I was already ready to go on stage. And they were like, well, because of the passing of Whitney Houston. And we don't think that I had no clue why and how, even then it made absolutely no sense. And I was just like, this makes no sense. And there was no one there that even spoke up for me. Like, they didn't care to explain it. Nobody on either side spoke.
Yeah.
And this is after I had just done a bunch of commercials with LL Cool J to promote the Grammys. After I did everything they asked, they came the day of the show and told me not to perform. And I said, no, I'm going to perform, of course. And then when the performance came out and it received backlash from the Catholic Church, Ken Ehrlich reached out to my then management and said, can you please tell Nicki to stop speaking about it? And I thought that was weird because I didn't know how it was an issue for him. Like, it's my brand. I have to explain myself. I'm the one getting backlash. And he said he was mad because I had did an interview and said, well, the producers at the Grammys knew what song I was going to do in advance.
Right.
Which I thought made no sense because obviously nobody's watching the Grammys thinking that the producers don't know what song Nicki Minaj is about to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Right.
I didn't understand why they were mad. And I didn't understand the power that man had to start to completely blackball me for the rest of my career. But that's exactly what happened. So he basically told me, you go out there or else. And when I went out there, because now all of my fans are expecting a performance, I'm not going to just not perform. And I just did all this to promote your show and to get viewers. So I went out there and he blackballed me for the rest of my career. He then made me feel afraid to speak on it because thinking, well, if you do ever want to get a Grammy, you better not speak about it. So this is why when Ariana called him out the other day, I said, this man is still doing the same shit. And then I did my research and found out he's been doing clown, corny shit to people and they've just been bullied into being quiet. But now, being that I'm at the place now that I don't give a fuck,
Right.
because I am a legend and I'm gonna die an icon regardless.
Talk your shit.
I can now let everyone know that the reason why a song like Monster or what you name it, that's never been touched till this day creatively, doesn't have a Grammy, that's why. It's because a little black girl thought that she could go against this powerful white man and say, no, I'm gonna perform. You're not making any sense. I promoted the fuck out of this show for you and this makes no sense.
Yeah.
Because of that little backlash, he told me I should have basically lied and said the Grammys didn't know what I was gonna perform, which made no sense. Somebody would have believed that anyway. I didn't realize, so I saw him at Jay-Z's concert. And I was there again with my then management.
Right.
And I just remember how I walked up to him about to say hello, and he just looked at me like with just disgust. Like
Did
I
he
was
say anything
nothing.
to you? Or
Absolutely nothing. I went up to him to try to say hi, shake his hand.
Yeah.
He just stood straight and didn't even look at me. Like I was garbage. Since people want to know the real deal, why you see all this fuckery happening, that's why. Because whenever black women speak up for themselves, they look at you like, how dare you? Who do you think you are, bitch? And then when you do speak on it, you're the angry black woman.
Right.
And other black women feed into that and disrespect the black woman that's speaking up that can potentially open doors for them.
Do Grammys even matter to you at this point?
Absolutely fucking not.
Nah. So
Absolutely not.
if you won one, you wouldn't give a fuck? You ain't taking a sip out of it?
As of right now, yes, if I had won one before, first of all, they robbed me of the new artist Grammy.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows I should have gotten that award. I
That's
had 7 songs on the Hot 100 before my album dropped. Like, I don't think people understand what's going on. Best new artist, they gave to Bon Iver over me, the person who they just made promote their whole show. So now, what doesn't matter? Do you care if Tupac or Snoop or Nas or whoever doesn't have a Grammy?
Nah,
Look at the people that
that's who
have
they
number
are.
ones and have Grammys. They clowns. A lot of them are clowns. We don't care because in 50 years we're not going to be talking about them. We're not going to be talking about the Milli Vanillis. We're going to be talking about the Pacs and these types of people. So it doesn't matter to that extent. But I do think it's sad because they try to portray it as if it's about talent when it's not. It's about people actually network for the Grammys. They tell a bunch of people, hey, vote for me, vote for me, vote for me. Why don't you ask them who voted for the Hip Hop Awards? Why don't you ask them give me the names of the people who voted for the Hip Hop Grammys?
Right.
And you tell me, let the hip hop community decide if those people should be the ones voting on our music.
So Nicki Minaj was told not to perform by Ken Ehrlich because of Whitney's death just a day before, which doesn't make any sense. Nicki's performance has nothing to do with Whitney, and they told her not to perform when she was literally ready to go on stage. And of course, Nicki said, no, I did mad promo for you. I'm going to perform, and she did, and she got blackballed from the Grammys. And if you think Nicki is lying here, Ken literally did the same thing to Ariana. And guess who didn't win any Grammys in 2020, despite having arguably the biggest era in that time span? Because of this performance, it is speculated that Nicki was robbed of the Best New Artist Grammy. And you know what is not speculated? I 100% believe Nicki was robbed of the Best New Artist Grammy. Because really, who is Bon Iver? You probably only heard of him recently because of Taylor Swift. But otherwise, who is he? This is why it really established Nicki's position at the time. Nicki was breaking records, she was selling extremely well, and she's already become a household name by this point. Out of all the nominees in the Best New Artist Award, Nicki Minaj is the most successful. Like, that's not even a debate at this point. And I see a lot of people say, but Bon Iver released one of the most acclaimed projects ever. They were critically acclaimed. Well, yes, they were. But looking at the Best New Artist Award winners, it isn't about who's the most critically acclaimed. Fun won over Frank Ocean, Macklemore over Kendrick, Meghan Trainor, Dua Lipa, Billie Eilish, Megan Thee Stallion. These artists, though amazing in their own right, were not the most critically acclaimed from the nominees. They won the award because they achieved commercial success with songs that are critically acclaimed. It's not exclusively critics or commercial success. And it's not like Nicki Minaj wasn't liked by critics. So that's that. Nicki Minaj deserved that Grammy win. Let's move on next year with the 2013 Grammys, where Nicki didn't receive any nominations for her album Pink Friday Roman Reloaded or one of the best-selling singles ever, Starships. Nicki addressed this in an interview and stated, "I've gotten tons of awards, and I believe when it's time to get a Grammy, I'll get a Grammy. I think the Grammys had a different reason that I do not want to discuss, and that's just between me and them." And she was alluding to Ken Ehrlich. But I respect their organization, and I'll get a Grammy eventually. I'm not worried about it. Nicki Minaj won't be nominated for a Grammy until the 2015 Grammys, where she was nominated for Anaconda as Best Rap Song and Bang Bang as Best Pop Duo/Group Performance. She came in this form-fitting black dress, and she looked so good with her very minimal makeup compared to her previous outfits. She looked amazing. As she was getting blackballed, she didn't win any of the Grammys. For the 2016 Grammys, though she was nominated for The Pink Print as Best Rap Album, Truffle Butter for Best Rap Performance, and only for Best Rap/Song Performance, she didn't attend. She posted this on Instagram as a sort of explanation, saying, "I know I'm in the commercial, but I actually won't be performing. I want to thank the Grammys for being super sweet and supportive and for recognizing the Pink Print. Maybe next year will make more sense in terms of timing, and I'll create a very special performance for you guys. In the meantime, enjoy the show." And from that point on, Nicki was completely blackballed and not nominated again. When Debbie Dugan, the previous CEO of the Grammys, came out and spoke about the racism and sexism in the Academy, Nicki defends her, saying, "Shout out to Deb. We need strong women that are willing to say what they have to say, even when they're getting backlash for it. And every strong woman in here knows what I'm talking about." Just recently, during the 2021 Grammys, when The Weeknd was snubbed and a bunch of artists spoke out about it, Nicki Minaj joined the conversation saying, "Never forget the Grammys didn't give me my Best New Artist Award when I had 7 songs simultaneously charting on Billboard and bigger first week than any female rapper in the last decade. Went on to inspire a generation. They gave it to the white man Bon Iver. Hashtag Pink Friday." And that's it. What are my final thoughts on the whole situation? Well, let me summarize. Nicki Minaj deserves a Grammy, but she doesn't need one. Nicki not having a Grammy is used by so many people as ammunition to discredit Nicki's legacy and impact, when I think they forget that Nicki Minaj is Nicki Minaj. She's a household name, and as she said,
"Because I am a legend and I'm gonna die an icon regardless."
Talk your shit.
a Grammy does not solidify someone's legacy. Yeah, it's a nice award to have, but when your award is built on racism and sexism and stupid politics in the music industry, it kinda diminishes the value of the award. And I get it, being music is subjective, and the award shows try to grade someone's music. There's always going to be some sort of backlash, regardless if we remove the sexism and racism in the Academy. But when so many artists have called you out on your bullshit and you still do the same old practices, honey. And can we talk about the obvious double standards on Nicki? Because when The Weeknd spoke out about the Grammys, he was brave. When Nicki spoke out about the Grammys, she was desperate. And to the people saying Nicki was desperate and calling out the Grammys because she didn't win one, you are perpetuating misogynistic and racist stereotypes amongst women. Because when the men do it, they are standing up for themselves. When a woman does it, especially a black woman, they say, "Oh, she is acting up, oh, she's having a tantrum, oh, she's having a mental breakdown," and they put her in the box of the angry black woman. And that is so disgusting to me. Nicki Minaj is a literal legend already. And the thing is, even if you don't believe it, tough luck. Nicki Minaj will be remembered as a legend. As I said, Nicki Minaj deserves a Grammy, but she doesn't need one. She has established herself and left her imprint too hard on the world and pop culture that Nicki Minaj is not going anywhere. And no Grammys, Still the GOAT though. Nicki Minaj is an extremely polarizing figure. Either you love her or you hate her. Despite being trenched in controversy after controversy, Nicki has been able to maintain her career and the public's fascination with her. I mean, her most recent single, Super Freaky Girl, is probably one of her biggest hits to date. Even after the amount of times the public has quote-unquote cancelled Nicki Minaj, we still just can't get enough of her. And I think that speaks a lot about Nicki's talent as a rapper, as a songwriter, and overall ability to keep the general public in her grasp. And though obviously Nicki isn't perfect and she does have some part of blame as to why she is so polarizing, I still think a big portion as to why people are so split towards her is because Nicki is misunderstood, and most of the times the public chooses to misunderstand Nicki. So in this video, let's actually try to understand Nicki and explore why Nicki Minaj is such a polarizing figure. Disclaimer: if you don't know by now, I'm a big barb. I'm a huge Nicki Minaj fan, so I'm going to be biased towards Nicki, but I feel like the fact that I do know Nicki so well might help you gain a new perspective on her and maybe even evaluate how you guys scrutinize women in general, so take that as you will.
You're not gonna get the song the first time you hear it. After the second and third time, you're gonna be like, whoa, what is this? It sounds nothing like anything that's out right now.
Nicki Minaj officially entered the mainstream in 2010, instantly making herself one of the most recognizable names in the world. But with fame obviously comes scrutiny. And even as Nicki dominated the music industry with countless hits and memorable features, she was still hated on by a big portion of the public. People were saying her lyrics don't make sense, she's so weird, she only talks about sex, she's a downfall of popular music, she's teaching women to be strippers. It's all completely ridiculous, especially in hindsight considering Nicki, compared to some female rappers and just musicians in general right now, there is no competition. Nicki is one of a kind. She is one of the best lyricists that we have and one of the best rappers in terms of flow, versatility, and punchlines. Nicki is serious about being a musician and prides herself in being a talented one. But that's not what people mainly saw. They just saw the kooky rapper with the crazy egos and facial expressions, crazy wigs, makeups, outfits, and the big butt, which in retrospect wasn't even that big compared to the BBL girlies that we have now. Like, it was actually proportionate to her frame. But the sad part is a majority of people in the world, not just the internet, an important distinction, only sees Nicki Minaj as this caricature. And I think this is a big oversight in the Nicki is polarizing debate. Sometimes we put a magnifying glass on who we focus when creating discussions, specifically about pop culture and celebrities, and we often forget that Twitter or Instagram or even Facebook is not really the general public. I and a lot of people use the word general public when we're really talking about mostly online communities and people in social media sites. We often leave out the general public, like people not even in social medias or the internet at all. And I think that's the bigger conversation of Nicki being polarizing, because especially back in the 2010s, it was a polarizing topic of whether Nicki was even a talented musician or not. I feel like this plays into the belief of many people still to this day that hip-hop is not a respectable music genre and it doesn't take that much talent to produce hip-hop music. Obviously, this is rooted deep in racism, and to deny Nicki the recognition for her talent is just insane because she's Nicki Minaj. No other rap girl can dominate with pop hits 1 minute, then hard-hitting rap bops the next so effortlessly. When Nicki was rising to fame, we know that she was coming up with these crazy personas, crazy expressions, crazy theatrics, and that version of Nicki is the one that got stuck in people's heads. And though Nicki tried to pivot into a more natural aesthetic and persona in 2013 to 2014, her Roman alter ego from 2010 to 2012 still reigned supreme in the public's collective memory of Nicki Minaj. This camp personality, though very much accepted and loved by most of 2023 internet, the gays and the barbs, we love camp. And that's mother right there. But this is still very much confusing to the 45-year-old Joe that, unlike me who sees mother serving, he might see a girl in a ridiculous outfit making crazy eyes, shouting and spazzing at a morning talk show. Eventually, as time passes, I do think attitudes towards Nicki's talent will shift, as it has already from her debut to now. It's really just a lot of the people unaccounted for that's not on the internet and Twitter and social medias that really think like this. Because the majority of the internet does agree that Nicki is one of the greatest artists of the 2010s decade. What the internet doesn't agree on, however, about Nicki Minaj is whether she's even likable or not.
It's an Easter egg hunt. Sorry.
I feel like this is what a lot of people looked forward to when clicking on this video. When I say Nicki Minaj is polarizing, you probably think of her multiple controversies, the way she handles problems, the way she speaks her mind, compared to the great music, great memes, and overall pop culture material that Nicki Minaj has lended us over the years. It's hard to choose which to focus on, especially when Nicki's online. The common consensus is that Nicki is unlikable. So unlikable that her sound bites, music, and overall image has been the foundation of memes and trends on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. You know, that sort of stuff. A lot of people take issue with Nicki's personality as a whole, branding it as brash, loud, crude, vulgar, and drama. There's just so much drama with Nicki. This specific narrative on Nicki's personality definitely started on 2017 with Remy Ma's second best hit, Sheather, the first being Bullet Burns. And this was a result of the Nicki hate train. Though there were whispers of this before 2017, just look at the reaction to Nicki's "Miley was good" VMA moment. It was really in 2017 when people started getting sick of Nicki Minaj and her antics. This carried on to 2018 where Nicki was at her most hated and most vocal. And her being vocal really put a damper on her reputation, and people labeled her as unnecessarily causing drama. This has been the case up to now, with her recent Lotto feud being a perfect example. I already created the video talking about the feud, but it really still boggles me how people made this Nicki's fault when Lotto had no actual basis for her claims. In fact, she was even recently caught lying because Big Energy's reference track was released and it was a man rapping it. I think analyzing the type of controversies Nicki has been in will really help us identify why Nicki Minaj is considered polarizing and whether any of it actually holds up. I feel like there's mainly two types of issues that people have with Nicki: her associations and her rants. I just want to get over the first type of controversies real quick because it's getting tiring. Obviously, her husband has been a big contention with Twitter specifically, and this is a really touchy subject. You know, Nicki and her husband has been accused through a lawsuit of harassing a girl that Kenneth allegedly RA'd, and I feel like it's needed to be mentioned that Nicki was dropped from the lawsuit early 2022 by the other party and was not able to give actual sufficient evidence of Nicki's involvement, so take that as you will. I also feel it's kind of weird that people have never considered the fact that Kenneth Petty, who was around 16 at the time when sentenced with attempted R, maybe was falsely accused and did not have the right resources to defend himself, so he just pleaded guilty, because that has never happened before to a young black man, especially in America. And I'm not trying to say someone is innocent or not, that's for you to decide, but it's kind of weird that Nicki's husband is being used as a drag towards her when she was literally a child when her husband committed the alleged crime and he served his sentence. And the crime that Nicki is accused of, she was dropped from the lawsuit. It wasn't even a criminal offense, it was a civil lawsuit. As Nicki said, they have the two same drags about me and one of them ain't even about me. And most of the people who use her husband as a drag, be fucking for real, you guys never liked Nicki to begin with. Most of you don't hate Nicki Minaj because she married her husband. You guys hate Nicki Minaj just because her husband is just a way for you guys to justify your hate. And don't get me wrong, I feel like it is a valid reason for you not to like Nicki Minaj, especially if you're uncomfortable with that. That's fine, no one is stopping you from not liking Nicki. It's just that most of you guys are inconsistent about this stuff, because one day you'll hate on Nicki Minaj for having the husband that she has, and then the other day you guys are gagging over court outfits over another female rapper who pleaded guilty to having women beat. We'll get to that later. Nicki's brother is also someone who is being brought up when dragging Nicki, which is crazy to me. Like, what does her brother have to do with her? And no, she didn't bail her brother out, it was their mother. She has also been dragged for collabing with people like 6ix9ine, which honestly, this mother's mistake, I can't defend her there. Fifi's a pop though. The most recent person they're saying Nicki is associated to is Dr. Luke, who has producing credits on her most recent hit, Super Freaky Girl. And that's such an easy explanation. The person who actually produced Super Freaky Girl is one of Dr. Luke's artists, and he is known for stealing credits from other producers on songs he thinks are gonna be hits. The second thing people don't like about Nicki is her rants. Nicki is a very vocal person, whether it is on Queen Radio, on Twitter, on IG Live. Whenever she talks about something that she feels passionate about, obviously she is gonna speak about it in a very passionate way. And with Nicki, that passion turns into a lot of shouting. The reason Nicki is so vocal nowadays compared to her earlier years is because she was biting her tongue a lot back then. She was just getting into the industry. Obviously, she wasn't going to speak ill of big record labels or award shows or industry giants because she was a rookie. Why would she? But now that she's an established veteran who, let's face it, is not going anywhere anytime soon, she's embedded into pop culture now, that inspires onto Nicki confidence that she didn't have back then or was holding back to speak. Nicki has stated that after years of being silenced and severely affecting her mental health in the process, now she's letting it all out. I mean, everyone knows it's not healthy to keep your feelings in. At some point, you're gonna have to let it out. And Nicki has gotten into a point in her career when she can do it. And we should all be thankful because of it, especially musicians. If Nicki wasn't so vocal about streaming being included in album sales, most of your favorite artists probably wouldn't even reach platinum. Nicki fought for streaming rights and changed the music industry as a whole. She's one of the few artists who constantly calls out the Grammys for their unfair treatment to artists and music politics. And she was absolutely right, considering Super Freaky Girl, one of the biggest rap hits and just biggest hits of 2022 in general, wasn't nominated because apparently it's a pop song. And that's the thing, most of the things that Nicki has said in her rants has been right. And she has been right about so many things. But people don't listen to her because of the way Nicki delivers her message. And yeah, that maybe is on Nicki, but even when she was calm and collected and she was going through a topic point by point, I hear a recent Grammy issues and she went on IG Live to talk about it, she was still not heard. You guys didn't take her seriously just because it was Nicki Minaj. And that's the real issue. Most of the people who don't like her, they cling on to anything Nicki Minaj does and criticizes it. She breathes and you guys find a way to make it Nicki's fault. And again, I'm not saying Nicki's an angel and is innocent all throughout, because she isn't. Her vaccine tweets could have been more responsibly handled. Her going after Leanne from Little Mix was completely unnecessary. Her going after Lotto, well, Lotto deserved it, so I'm gonna give it to Mother. But honestly, if we compare what Nicki has done to other musicians or rappers who literally have criminal records, have pleaded guilty to crimes, went to prison, you're gonna start to wonder why Nicki's being treated so poorly when you guys have let other people get away with so much. The whole paradox with Nicki being so polarizing is that she's scrutinized for things that male rappers and quite frankly female rappers too do on a daily and get away with. If we want to get real, Nicki has not done anything that bad to warrant her being cancelled the way she has been, especially if you compare her to her peers. The hate Nicki has gotten, you guys would think she was saying and doing the things Kanye has done, but no. You guys hate Nicki for the stupidest reasons. You hate her for being cocky, for saying she's the queen of rap, for doing what a rapper is supposed to do. You guys say she's bitter and hates female rappers, but when she does collab with a female rapper, you guys say she's using her or the female rapper itself will turn on Nicki. Also, if we want to talk about Nicki hanging out with shady people, why hasn't anyone gone after other people who have hung out with Meek Mill? Do you guys only scrutinize people who hang out with abusers of people that you actually like? Because that's how it's looking. You guys are so selective of which people can't hang out with which. In fact, let's go back to when Nicki opened up about what went through with her and Meek Mill during their relationship. I didn't see that side of Twitter defend Nicki the way they have defended other women because they don't like Nicki. It's protect black women unless it's Nicki Minaj. As Nicki said in Barbie Going Bad, whenever I do something they say I'm the angry black woman. And that's true. A lot of people's perception towards Nicki really is based off a stereotype on black women. And I don't think people understand how damaging this narrative is. This is where Nicki gets compared to Beyonce and Rihanna the most. A lot of people criticize Nicki for the fact that unlike her superstar counterparts, Nicki doesn't act like a superstar. Nicki doesn't act like a superstar. She isn't a mysterious figure like Beyonce or Rihanna. She isn't actively ghosting her fans or silent all the time. When she's online, she's very much accessible. She interacts with her fans all the time. She's very outspoken about things she wants to be outspoken on. And that's why unlike Rihanna or Beyonce, who is virtually loved by everyone, Nicki very much divides people. I think something people forget is that Nicki didn't grow up in the industry like Beyonce or Rihanna did. Nicki was well in her late 20s before she broke into mainstream. Beyonce and Rihanna, on the other hand, their formative years was spent in the industry. And also another thing, Nicki is not Beyonce or Rihanna. There's no step-by-step procedure on how to be an A-lister, and the fact that Nicki is still an A-lister despite her many controversies show that there is a way to be a legend without being an ominous figure. And Nicki loves interacting with her fans. I don't think Nicki will be happy if she just abandons her fans and tosses them through a website or letters. It works for Beyonce and that's great for her. But Nicki isn't Beyonce. This is why Nicki going on hiatus is so effective, because it is the closest people will get to Nicki being an ominous figure without going full in on being a recluse. It gives people time to breathe and swallow on the fact that they actually miss Nicki. That's why Nicki gets so much love and viral tweets when she's away. And this is a topic I want to expand on in another video, but yeah. This video is not a propaganda video so you will like Nicki, even though I feel like it is gonna come out like that. It's really not. Because if you don't like Nicki, you just don't like Nicki. I can't force you with this video to like her, and Nicki's gonna be absolutely fine whether people like her or not, because she has gone through an era wherein people hated her and she still came out on top. And I fully understand the concept that Nicki is polarizing and she's just a figure that's so confusing because she has this big catalog of memorable music and iconic pop culture moments, but she also has this other stuff which can be jarring for most. What I want people to take away from this video is not to instantly like Nicki, but rather to analyze why you don't like Nicki. Is it because of a valid reason, or is it because of a narrative that the media has made that based on harmful stereotypes and double standards? And I'll leave you to that. For most of her career, there was not a day going by where you didn't see Nicki Minaj in the headlines, working, filming a music video, or seen by the paparazzi. She was everywhere. But recently, you know, she's been taking a lot of breaks and she goes on a lot of hiatuses. And what's really interesting is that this is not only a great way for her to recharge mentally, to go back to being Nicki Minaj, this A-list worldwide superstar, but it's also proven to be a great marketing move for both her brand and her music. There's just a sense of excitement every time Nicki breaks her hiatus and comes back with new music. And I feel like she's one of the few artists who have mastered the art of going on a hiatus. And the thing about Nicki is that she is a really private person. She's never been the type to go on a lot of industry parties, especially now that she's a mom. If she's on a hiatus, then she's on a hiatus. No public sightings, no social media, no paparazzi pictures, nothing. So in this video, we're going to be talking about Nicki Minaj and her hiatuses, its effects on her career, and why she does it. Also, don't mind this like new setup. I'm just doing something like really casual, and I just wanted to, you know, try more different formats, but I will be going back to like my regular style of videos. I don't know, I just want something more intimate, and yeah. So, let's go.
Nicki Minaj is the queen of rap! Nicki Minaj is the queen of rap!
So for those of you who don't know, hiatus is defined as a pause or gap in a sequence, series, or process, basically taking a break. And Nicki has been known to take a break or two in between music releases. Nicki, especially in her earlier years, is a grind type of person. She was selling mixtapes out of her car, doing bookings at bars, clubs, then going on tour with Lil Wayne before she was signed to Young Money. She was working. She released 3 mixtapes in the span of 3 years within 2007 to 2009, then an album every 2 years during 2010 to 2014, and that doesn't include the re-up version for Pink Friday Roman Reloaded. So all in all, she released 7 projects from 2007 to 2014. That also doesn't account for the singles, standalone singles, multiple features, brand deals, and businesses that Nicki was handling. She was very busy. She was making a name for herself and became the household name that she is now. And she kept being busy till 2015 to 2016. As Nicki said in the opening track of Beam Me Up Scotty, she wants it the most, and in turn, she worked extremely hard to get it. And she did. She's now known as the queen of rap, the best-selling female rapper of all time, and one of the best rappers, period. 10th best rapper of all time according to Billboard even. But then 2017 happened, Cheater was released, everyone started to basically turn on her, and by the end of the year, she disappeared. She went on a hiatus. One of the first times she fully committed on taking a break, deleting all forms of social media on her phone and being a recluse. Only being seen one time by the paparazzi when she was entering a Beyonce party and her airport pics. Nicki was serious about that hiatus. She breaks her hiatus to do a brand deal and promote Mercedes-Benz, and shortly after she announces her comeback singles, the lead single to her 4th studio album Queen, and the promotional single Chun-Li and Barbie Tinks. The hiatus then come back with new music routine worked extremely well for Nicki, and she has been utilizing this strategy ever since. Some notable examples of when a hiatus worked well in her favor is during the January to May 2020 hiatus, and she broke it by releasing the remix to Doja Cat's Say So. This gave Nicki and Doja their first #1s on the Hot 100. November 2019 to January 2020, shortly after breaking her hiatus, she teased the fan favorite promotional single Yikes, then releasing it after being bullied by the Barbs in her label. It peaked at #3 and it's a bop. As mentioned earlier, Chun-Li and Barbie Tinks were released after her December 2017 to March 2018 hiatus. The singles peaked at #10 and #25 respectively. I think her most successful hiatus in terms of building hype was during the January 2021 to May 2021 hiatus, her longest hiatus to date. She broke her hiatus by releasing a photo with the caption Friday and the Crocs, and it broke the internet. Literally everyone was tuning in on what Nicki will be releasing that Friday, and she surprised re-released her 3rd mixtape, Beam Me Up Scotty, on streaming services with Seeing Green, Fractions, and Crocodile Teeth remix. The mixtape sold over 80,000 copies in its first week in the US, which for a re-released mixtape, that's extremely impressive. Nicki actually sold more than a lot of rap girls' albums first week, so those are just some examples, but I feel like everyone gets that her hiatuses really do have a big impact on her music, especially for sales and hype. So let's kind of go deep on why this particular marketing strategy is so great for Nicki. I feel like the most obvious reason is that going on hiatus creates hype for new releases. I mean, in the span of a decade, she managed to snatch the record of most Hot 100 entries for a woman ever, only being beaten recently by Taylor Swift. And those 125 songs, 21 top 10 hits, and 3 #1 singles are indicative of how much we have heard of Nicki through our radios, streaming services, YouTube, you name it. And having that many songs that are popular and played throughout runs the risk of someone being oversaturated. Oversaturation is probably why most artists don't release multiple projects in a single year. Most give themselves like a 2-year or 1-year break before starting a new era. And even though I feel like Nicki was able to balance out and counteract being oversaturated, knowing when to promote her singles or do a feature or release projects, she's been able to weed through that particular problem. But especially after 2017, when people started to turn on her, not like her, and the whole Nicki hate train debacle, I feel like taking a break at the end of the year was a really good move in Nicki's part. It gave people time to wonder what Nicki is going to do next, and separate her small no frauds 3-pack from Paris whacking Grammy era to the Queen era. And there's also an interesting phenomenon with Nicki going on hiatus, because when she's on hiatus, everyone loves her. This is something I'm going to be touching on further, but yeah, it's really weird. Going back to it, hiatuses really do build hype for a new release or era. Another reason why hiatuses work so well for Nicki plays into the idea that Nicki Minaj is polarizing. This is something I've talked about in a previous video, watch that after watching this video, but the gist of it is, people perceive Nicki as being unlikable because of the double standards placed upon her. her. And regardless of whether people's reasoning for not liking Nicki is even valid or right, they still perceive Nicki as this polarizing figure. Either you love her or you hate her. And I think her hiatuses really do kind of let the general public recharge from being overloaded with Nicki and letting people realize, Nicki is really mother to all these bitches because her stunts are not giving. They're not feeding me. And I think that's why hiatuses work so well for Nicki in this instance, because some people can only take Nicki at doses. And sort of separating herself from the public in between of music releases lets them take a break from the Nicki of it all. The Nicki hate on social media usually goes up and down. Sometimes they hate her, sometimes they love her, sometimes they wish her, sometimes they want her to take a break. So being able to ride out that wave and sort of come back when people love you so they stream the music is kind of genius. Hiatuses also kind of give Nicki the A-lister private mystique that Beyonce, for example, emits. Nicki for the most time doesn't really act like the traditional A-lister that you have, despite being one. Since most of her hiatus she's like really gone from the public eye, it kind of lets us see what Nicki would be like if she copied the Beyonce formula, not talking to fans or anyone really, and only coming back with new music. And this is why the hiatus is really perfect for Nicki, because as much as a lot of people, and even Barbs, think that she should be like Beyonce and be so private, would it really be Nicki Minaj if she wasn't interacting with the Barbs? Would it really be Nicki if she wasn't a little bit messy on social media? Would it really be Nicki if she stayed silent? I don't think her being messy is beneficial for her career, but is it worth it to lose a lot of your identity and a lot of your voice just so people will like you more? These are the types of questions that really have no right answer, and this is why hiatuses are perfect for Nicki. She's giving people time to, you know, soak in that A-lister mystique before she comes back. And I think the most important part really in Nicki taking hiatuses is for her mental health. As said earlier, in 2017, Nicki didn't have a great year in terms of her reputation. Even though it was a successful year for her like numbers wise, it must have been really hard on her being hated so much all of a sudden after years of being mostly loved by the general public. It was really sudden how the general public turned on her. And even if Nicki's whole brand is being a bad bitch, you bitches can't get to me, she's still a human being, and I'm sure she didn't like being hated on. That's why she deleted all of her social media from her phone when she went on hiatus at the end of 2017. Her hiatuses are not only a way for people to recharge on her, it's also a way for her to recharge herself before she steps into the public light with sure scrutiny. It's not easy being a public figure. I mean, I'm barely a public figure, and even the comments sometimes gets to me. I'm literally just a speck compared to Nicki Minaj. Imagine what she has to go through. And the sad thing is, even her fans contribute to the already millions of negative comments that she receives. Especially now that she's a mother and she has someone to look after other than herself. These hiatuses not only let her focus on herself mentally, it also allows her to focus on her son and her family. And I feel like this is the real reason as to why Nicki does these hiatuses. Recently, she broke her hiatus again by going to Trinidad and announcing her new single, Red Ruby the Sleaze. So yeah, the hiatuses are a really great tool for Nicki, for her mental health, and for her as an artist. And I feel like her type of hiatus is really molded for the type of artist that Nicki is. Hopefully the next hiatus that we get is for the album, because Nicki, we need that album. Like right now. Like right now. Where's the album? Like, give it to me. Anyways, thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. I know this like setup is really different from what I usually do, but I don't know, I just wanted to switch it up and do something more casual, more personal, you know, because I wanted to connect with you guys. I want to connect with my audience. I want to connect with you. Also, I didn't really want to set up like my green screen and my camera and stuff. So yeah, let's just do something like this. I think I'm gonna do this setup more often, but it's not gonna replace like my green screen stuff and all of that. So I'm gonna be doing that. But yeah, I feel like sometimes I just want to be like more eye to eye with you guys. So yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be doing these types of videos more, you know, very like conversational. But yeah, thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Stream Red Ruby the Sleaze. But yeah, thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. Goodbye.